Good evening. Today is Wednesday, December 6, 2023. This is the Monroe Township Board of Education monthly meeting. We will call our meeting to order. Would everybody please join me in our Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Allen, may we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Ms. Alvarez?
Present.
Ms. Belko?
Here.
Ms. Bora?
Here.
Ms. DePayne?
Here.
Ms. Fabiano?
Here.
Mr. Gorham?
Here.
Ms. Ratner?
Here.
Ms. Scott?
Here.
Ms. Skirby?
Here.
Mr. Tufano?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you.
In accordance with the provisions of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law, the Monroe Township Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published, an electronic notice provided by having the date, time, and place thereof posted September 15th, 2023, and December 1st, 2023, at all schools, on the district website, Home News Tribune, Cranberry Press, and filed with the clerk of the municipality.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is our closed session resolution. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Township of Monroe hereby moves into closed session in accordance with the Sunshine Law, Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, NJSA 10:4-6 through 10:4-21, to discuss the following subjects: harassment, intimidation, or bullying, matters protected by attorney-client privilege. Following closed session, action may be taken. The discussion conducted in closed session can be disclosed to the public at such time as the need for confidentiality no longer exists. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All right, we will be in closed session, and we should come out approximately 7:15. Thank you. We're back in our public forum. The next item on our agenda is our approval of our minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the Public Board of Education meeting minutes of October 18, 2023?
Motion.
Second.
Second, are there any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That was Carmen. Can I get a motion to approve the closed session meeting minutes of October 18, 2023?
Motion.
Second.
Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Just abstain on the portion that I was conflicted on.
Okay.
Abstain also.
Okay, so noted. Can I get a motion to approve the Public Board of Education meeting minutes of November 15th, 2023?
Motion.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, and the last one, can I get a motion to approve the closed session meeting minutes of November 15th, 2023?
Motion.
Second.
Are there any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Any abstentions?
Abstain on the closed session minutes.
Abstained on the closed sessions pertaining to the conflict.
Okay, so noted. Right, the next item on our agenda is our student and staff recognitions. Tonight, we have the wonderful opportunity to recognize our fall student athletes and coaches and recognize them for their amazing fall season that they had. So I will turn it over to Dr. Chanley and Mr. Barandica at this point.
Thank you very much, Ms. Skirby. Good evening, everyone. As we began last board meeting to acknowledge our children, and we also had an opportunity to acknowledge some of our staff members regarding AP scores, and some of them did civic projects and community engagement. And as Ms. Skirby said, this evening we're going to our sports. We've had a really incredible season in various different areas. Some of them I did mention during my superintendent's report: volleyball, soccer. I'm going to leave someone out. So I'm just going to say they're all wonderful and awesome, and this evening we get to acknowledge them individually. So at this time, with no further ado, Mr. Barandica. No.
We're good? All right. Good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure to be here tonight to honor and celebrate the achievements of our student athletes and coaches. Their achievements are a testament to their hard work and dedication. not only during the season, but also throughout the year, as many of our student athletes and coaches form part of multiple teams. We had a great fall season and hope to continue this success as we move on throughout this year. First up, we have Mr. Nagpal to present awards for the Monroe Township High School Marching Band.
Good evening, everyone. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Mr. Sean Nagpal. I'm a teacher of music here at the high school. I teach band. A big part of my job in the fall is to work with the marching band. Our season typically runs from August to first week of November. This year we had the last 2 years and the year and a half I've been here, we had some pretty successful shows, getting first place at a lot of our competitions. This past year we were able to get second place at a national championship, as well as third place at our state championship, which is the high score that we had in about 10 years. So it's very exciting for us. Thank you very much. And a part of that is due to the students and their dedication. All of them are very committed to our program. They work long hours every day on their schoolwork, but on top of that, working with the marching band. Upwards to 20 hours of rehearsal every week, which is crazy. But, especially our seniors, they did a great job this past season of holding that standard for the entire group and for the younger members, too. So we'd like to acknowledge our seniors this evening. We'll begin in alphabetical order by last name, beginning with Sophia Awal, one of our guard captains. Next up is Priscilla Buissereth, one of our color guard members. Afterwards is Giada DeVito, one of our clarinet players. Umar Dillon, our percussion captain. Siraj Gandhi, our woodwind captain. Sahil Gandhi, our brass captain. Sachit Hegde, one of our drum majors. Siri Copacetti, one of our percussion captains. Benjamin Krasnov, trombone player. Anika Paluri, percussion captain. Leticia Ramirez, saxophone section leader. Chloe Ramirez, low brass section leader. Noemi Ramirez, clarinet section leader. Ezra St. Hill, high brass captain. And Vansh Sanad, low brass member. Thank you so much, everyone.
I got one.
I'm so sorry, Leanne. Leanne Wong, one of our drum majors. It was cut off on my PowerPoint, I apologize.
All right, next up we have our middle school teams. A little overview for you guys. In the fall, we had six athletic programs, which include boys and girls cross country, girls volleyball, field hockey, and boys and girls soccer. That's approximately 150 athletes. Tonight, we'll be honoring two teams because of their exemplary team achievements, and I apologize in advance for any names that are mispronounced. For the Monroe Township Middle School girls cross country, coached by Mr. Gary Snyder, we have Anbini Ademul, Amelia Davis, Isha Mohan, Raya Naidu, Lola Rajenyi, Olivia Tremarco, and Sahasra Vuyuru. Next up, we have the Monroe Township Middle School girls volleyball team, coached by Mr. Scott Zims. They achieved first place in the middle school tournament and also had an undefeated season. We have Arusha Alvacar. Julie Caliandro. Nina Corbiziero. Danielle Cugini. Gabby Grant. Lila Macaluzo. Christina Nieves. Sophia Nuccio. Lexi Orendorf. Bree Orendorf. Alyssa Puglia. Maddie Richter. Yashika Rengazia. Hanshika Sridhar. Sanvi Narmeda. And Celine Zaran. Next up, we'll move on to the Monroe Township High School teams. A little overview for them. We have 13 athletic programs, including football, boys and girls soccer, girls tennis, boys and girls cross country, girls volleyball, field hockey, dance, cheer, unified soccer, and we also have one independent gymnast. That's approximately 490 athletes, and tonight we will be honoring individual athletes from 7 teams for their individual athletic achievements, 4 overall teams for their team achievements, and 2 coaches. First up, we have our Monroe Township High School field hockey team, coached by Miss Sarah Hillman. We have Isabella Heiser and Amara Thomas, who are all conference and division first team. Next up, we have the Monroe Township High School girls cross country, coached by Miss Mary Howroyd. We have Anaya Raja, first team all red division. All right, next up, Monroe Township High School football, coached by Mr. Nick Isola. We have 3 individuals, first team national gold division, Sal Marcione, Logan Fotides, and Zach Wallace. You're welcome. We also have 2 athletes, second team national gold division, Dylan DeGraw and Brandon Macaluso. You want to talk? All right. Next up, we have Monroe Township High School boys soccer, coached by Mr. Steve McKenzie. We have 3 athletes, first team GMC All Conference, Jake Batoglia, Justin Graham, and Nick Souza. We also have 1 student athlete, first team all red division, Anthony Alberea. A little special highlight for the Monroe Township High School boys soccer team, again coached by Mr. Steve McKenzie. This year as a team, they were conference champions and red division champions as well. Next up, we have Monroe Township High School boys cross country team, coached by Mr. Nick Puleo. We have 2 athletes, first team all conference, Matthew Lucas and Man Patel. Next, we have 3 athletes, first team All-Red Division, Stephen Barbera, Ryan Denise, and Jimmy Giordano. Now, this was a year of firsts for some teams. Again, a special highlight for the Monroe Township High School boys cross country team. This year, they were Red Division champions. They were back-to-back conference champions. And for the first time in school history, Central Jersey Group 4 sectional champions. The team can come up. Just grab a certificate on behalf of the team. Next up, again for the boys cross-country team, our coach, Mr. Nicholas Puleo, was named Red Division Coach of the Year and GMC Conference Coach of the Year as well. Coach Puleo. All right, next up, Monroe Township High School girls volleyball, coached by Miss Victoria Steck. We have 2 athletes, first team, all conference and Red Division, Alyssa Grau and Allison Nieves. And we also have first team, all Red Division, Ava Kwiatkowski. Another year first, our Monroe Township High School girls volleyball team, again coached by Ms. Victoria Steck, avenged their GMC county final game against Old Bridge and beat them again when it mattered most, and were named Group 4 Central Jersey sectional champions. Will the team come up? You guys can come up for the certificate.
Awesome.
Yeah, team certificate. Yeah, who's gonna grab it?
Pushing her in there.
Great job, girls. And while Coach Steck is up here, again, our coach for the girls volleyball team was named Red Division Coach of the Year and Conference Coach of the Year as well. Good job. Moving on to Monroe Township High School girls soccer, coached by Mr. Christian Jessup. We have 3 student athletes, first team, all conference and Red Division. Sophia Gardner. Danny Lavaglio. And Jennifer Ward. And we have 1 student athlete, first team all Red Division, Ava Soares. Again, another season of firsts. Our girls soccer program were named Red Division champions, and for the first time in school history, conference champions as well. And one more special recognition for us, the Greater Middlesex Conference. We have 2 Student Athlete Advisory Committee representatives who represent our school along with other students from other conference schools. We have Justin Graham and Avery Labaska. And that concludes the report for us. We're looking forward to a great winter season, and hopefully we can do the same stuff we did for the fall and emulate it again in the spring. Thank you.
Let's give another round of applause to all of our athletes and our coaches for their accomplishments for the fall season. Thank you, Dr. Chanley and Mr. Barandico for that presentation. The next item on our agenda is our student board members report. We have our student board member here. Hetvi, would you like to give your report?
Of course. Can you hear me?
No.
No, it's on.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yep, it's a little bit. Use Max.
All right, good evening, everyone. So to start off our report, I'm going to start off with Barclay Brook. So during the month of November, Barclay Brook School welcomed family members to visit during American Education Week. The school was so excited to have so many families visit. Barclay Brook students wrote letters of thanks and appreciation to Monroe Township veterans in celebration of Veterans Day. The letters were distributed to local veterans at a Veterans Day celebration at the mayor's office. During the month of November, all Barclay Brook classes participated in a STEAM challenge where they created a Thanksgiving Day balloon float using a set of given materials. Students worked collaboratively to plan, design, and create their balloon floats. The project concluded with 2 school-wide parades where students were given the opportunity to display their creations to their peers. Classes were split up for the parade, allowing students the opportunity to showcase their balloon projects in one parade and act as spectators for the other parade. For Brookside had an excellent turnout for their parent visitation days during American Education Week. Students have been doing an excellent job at displaying great character. As part of their character reward program, students have been selected to participate in activities with Mr. Sidler, Mrs. Fernandez, Ms. Lynn, and Mr. Acampado. Brookside's 4th grade Colonial Day took place on November 30th. The day was a complete success as students rotated through the classrooms to learn about different topics such as how people lived during colonial times, dances, quilting, games, dress, food, and different jobs. Moving on to Oak Tree. So for Oak Tree, their Thanksgiving food drive was a tremendous success. The drive was able to provide meals for over 20 Oak Tree families. The school's annual gift drive is underway, in which they are able to provide holiday gifts for local children. Their first celebration day is December 8th. Because Oak Tree students earned enough star tickets, they will have a movie day in their classroom. American Education Week was a success. The first grade students and their parents celebrated with a Firsties Fall Festival. 3rd graders learned the origination of balloons at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade and hung their own creations from the ceilings of Oak Tree for all to enjoy. The 10 days of Oak Tree will begin next week with a different day each day for staff to participate in. Students also get to join in the fun with the holiday sock, slipper, and flannel days. Moving on to Mill Lake. Mill Lake had a busy and eventful month. After a week-long break, November began with American Education Week. Throughout the week, parents and guardians were invited to attend and participate in activities with their child's classroom. Thank you to all the parents and guardians who attended in Mill Lake and in all schools within the district. They were delighted to see you, and the students and parents alike were able to participate in the special week. On November 16th, Mill Lake School recognized and celebrated some of Monroe Township's community veterans. 3rd graders in Ms. Papandrea's class honored veterans with songs, crafts, and a research presentation. The month of November concluded with a surprise visit from a wild turkey and a cook in honor of Thanksgiving. As we begin December, Mill Lake is continuing its celebrations. This week, students were given the opportunity to shop for family and loved ones in the PTO holiday shop. The school is also participating in a Toys for Tots fundraiser, sponsored by the Mill Lake School Student Council. Students are encouraged to bring in a new unwrapped toy as a donation. Last night, Mill Lake students participated in Unified Winterfest, and it was a blast. They will continue the fun with their Mill Lake Unified Gym program on December 12th, and then again in the new year. The PALS program, along with these special events, helps the Mill Lake students gain empathy, long-lasting friendships, and a growth mindset. Later this month, students will participate in a holiday-themed Spirit Week, and they will close out the month with a school-wide holiday sing-along. Moving on to Woodland. Ms. Wojner and the PALS, Peers Assisted in Learning Social Skills, group-sponsored PJ Day, supporting pediatric patients at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. The goal was $500, but the school community raised over $700. Student Council and Character Crew decorated the school's halls for the holiday season. The Woodland Mill Lake PTO is hosting a holiday shop for the students to shop for their friends and family members. The grade 5 Character Crew will provide gift wrapping coinciding with the children shopping. Character Crew is also sponsoring Toys for Tots Drive from now until December 15th. Student Council and Character Crew will be hosting Spirit Fridays during the month of December. The Ready to Rise Title I program kicked off on November 28th. This program offers additional support and intervention for eligible students in ELA, mathematics, and student skills such as organization and test-taking strategies. Moving on to MTMS. MTMS is having a winter coat drive, collecting new or gently used winter coats of all sizes. All donations will be given to Sandra's Coat Rack in Trenton, New Jersey, and the deadline for the coat drive is that it ends on the 20th of December. MTMS is also participating in the Monroe Township Police Holiday Toy Drive to benefit Robert Wood Johnson University's Children's Hospital. Last day for the donation is on Friday, December 8th. Backed by popular demand, MTMS is having a door decorating contest. All doors will be decorated by December 18th. All staff will get to decorate their doors for the holiday season. On December 20th, MTMS's Sunshine Committee organized a cookie swap and invited all staff to participate and bring their favorite holiday cookies to share while they mingle. On Friday, December 22nd, MTMS will be competing in a school-wide STEM building project creating gingerbread houses. Each team will be represented by 4 selected students who will collaborate using their creative design skills to create a gingerbread house from provided materials. The week of December 19th, MTMS is having a festive week where everyone can participate. On Monday, they get to wear an ugly sweater. Tuesday is festive socks and hats. Wednesday is festive New Year's wear. Thursday is snow out, wear white. And Friday is pajama day. MTMS Chorus Concert will be held on Monday, December 11th at 7 p.m. And the 6th grade winter band concert is Monday, December 18th at 7 p.m. And the 7th and 8th grade band concert is Tuesday, December 19th at 7 p.m. Now moving on to the high school. The MTHS Red Cross Club will host its first Winter Wonderland on Thursday, December 7th, tomorrow. The event is open to the Monroe community and is geared towards children 11 and under, with proceeds benefiting Wade's Army. This Saturday, the high school hosted an administration of the SAT test, with students from Monroe and other schools taking this crucial step in college access and preparation. Parent-teacher conferences at the high school were successfully held on the 27th and 30th of November. Yesterday, the school's Amnesty International Club hosted their 2nd annual Right for Rights event, where students engaged in a global letter-writing campaign to advocate for those whose basic human rights are being endangered. The high school's new South Asian Student Association Club, just initiated this year, has been hard at work with a fantastic turnout at their dance auditions, featuring South Asian dance styles, everything from Ross to Bollywood, as students prepare to showcase their talent and cultural heritage. During this holiday season, students at the high school are not only eagerly awaiting winter break, but also taking active action to give back to our community. For some examples, the National Honor Society hosted a holiday toy drive, and today Key Club organized a gift wrapping event to donate toys to children in need and to spread the holiday cheer. That's all for my report. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the public hearing for the renegotiated employment contract for superintendent of schools. When Dr. Chanley came to the board's Personnel Committee meeting in September and asked to renegotiate her contract to ensure that she can fulfill her vision, the committee was very receptive. I asked Dr. Chanley at the next meeting, which was in October, to discuss with the full board in closed session her desire to renegotiate her contract, which included her extended vision for the district. After that meeting, myself and Ms. Bora, as the vice president, began negotiations with Dr. Chanley along with our board attorney, Mr. Gagliardi. When we came to an agreement, we brought the final version of the contract back to the board in closed session in November to let the board know what agreement was reached. In accordance with the education statute, of which we are bound to abide by, the county superintendent was sent the final contract for approval. That approval was received in a letter written to me by Mr. Anderson, the executive county superintendent, on November 6, 2023. The board was required to by statute to give 30 days notice for a public hearing on a renegotiated new contract for the superintendent. Before we allow the public to come up and make any comments, I want to invite Dr. Chanley to share with the entire community her vision for the Monroe Township School District so everyone can understand what the board has agreed to and why. So Dr. Chanley, I would like to turn it over to you.
Testing? Does it work? Let's see. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to speak directly to you, as you are our community. And I think it's important that I share with you the vision that has become our vision. I think I'd like to start off by making the statement that this job that we do, or I do, and I do in compilation with the support of the board and hopefully the support of many community members, is really not about me. It's not about the board members. It's not really even about you. It's really about your children. So I think it's important that you hear the beliefs, the ideas, and the direction in which I would like to see this district move, and that is why I took this opportunity, although not required, but I do thank you, to speak directly to you, the public. So we are calling it Responsive 21st Century. We've been in the 21st century for quite a while now, and we all have a great understanding that we live in a world where we deal with things that perhaps you and I did not deal with during our youth. Things have changed. Technology plays a major role. We lived through a pandemic. It has affected our children socially and emotionally, and it's important that we are cognizant of these things because it's the same regardless of who's the leader at the helm, regardless of who's sitting in the audience. It affects our children. It really has affected our children, and we want to make sure that we acknowledge the effect that life has had. So a little bit about myself. I can click. The click may not work. Okay, so I think it's important for those of you who prefer to hear some factual information. I know that you can go on Facebook and see what you see and read what you read, but I prefer to deal in facts. So the fact is that I was hired in 2003. I came here from a background. I am a New Yorker, and I moved to Florida after I got married. I spent 10 years there. Started as an English teacher in the high school, wound up being a middle school reading teacher, after which time I became an assistant principal in the exact same school where I was a teacher, and I remained in that position until I moved here. I was hired in 2003 by Dr. Ralph Ferry, way back when. I started as the assistant principal in the middle school when we had approximately 500 or 600 children in a 2-grade middle school, 7th and 8th grade only. It was a very quaint time, and I remained there until, at the time, the principal got a promotion, and then I became interim principal, 2008, 2009. I stayed the course, became the principal, had the exciting opportunity to renovate, rejuvenate, and change the current high school, which is now our lovely middle school home. It was a lot of work, it was a lot of fun, and I worked directly with the Board of Education at that time, as well as with Mr. Tague and many, many other people to make sure that we created an environment that was conducive to middle-level education. And that's what happened, and that's where I remained until I became the acting superintendent in 2021, and presently I am your superintendent. One of the things I think that's very important for any leader in any organization, whether it be professional, nonprofit versus profit, so public versus private, is that you have some continuity. I have been here for 20 plus years. I just celebrated my 20th anniversary here on August 21st of this past summer. I moved here once my children graduated and started on their own endeavors. I live in the community, so I am a mommy here. I am a wife. I don't usually do the food shopping, but I guess if I did do the food shopping, I would go to Stop and Shop. But I do frequent Walgreens and all the other stores, and I bring this up because I am vested. And I did think that that was something that I wanted to share with the community. So some of the things that came to be that I started in my position as acting was to look at the way things were done. Some things were done exceptionally well and remain, and my predecessors and those that conducted the day-to-day work of being a superintendent in consort, of course, with the assistant superintendents over the years, did some fabulous things, and a lot of those things do remain. And some of those things, it's not that they weren't fabulous, but they needed an opportunity to have a fresh set of eyes look at them. So by being an assistant principal and then a principal here, I did take note of various different organizational structures and personnel management that was in existence. Sometimes we change things just to change, and that is not what should happen. But sometimes we take an audit, an examination, and we wind up changing things because they need to be changed. So one of the things that I wanted to, I have various different things listed. I'm not going to be reading them all. But one of the things that I wanted to, excuse me, I'm sorry, did you have a question?
Excuse me, can we please have respect for Dr. Chanley speaking?
One of the things that I felt very, that I felt was necessary when I looked at the optimizing of staff and organizational structure, to have synergy and to remove, sometimes you have a middle level of a non-administrative position that doesn't always work in a positive way, and I know that some people came up and spoke on it, but I think it's important that you have the accurate information. So we have different levels, we have different teachers that act as leaders. So in the elementary level, excuse me, I'd rather not take any pictures while I'm speaking. If you could, you're not supposed to take pictures. You're welcome to watch a video. We do have a board policy.
Yes, there is a policy.
You need written permission.
Yes.
Thank you. I apologize. I just trying to be fair to myself like I have to be fair to everybody else. On that note, one of the things that we looked at realistically was department coordinators. And I think it's important, let me back up for a moment. I apologize that I was interrupted. So at the elementary level, they have what they call grade level chairs, grade level leaders. At the middle school, they have team leaders, and at the high school, they have coordinators. I think it's important for the public to know because there was a lot of different conversation, inaccurate information that was shared. When I looked to go ahead and remove the department coordinators, it was because we were putting children first, and I'm going to explain why. The department coordinators are not certificated administrators. They are teachers who are hired to teach. They are some of our best teachers at the high school level. They were only teaching 3 of the 5 required courses. And they were getting paid a stipend. And they were getting paid a stipend in the summer for extra classes, for extra work rather, whether it be curriculum writing or overseeing things. And what happened was, it was creating a non-direct method of communication between administration and directly the teachers. They would serve as a liaison, but they were not administrators. So I took a look and I started to look at the financial considerations of what the coordinators were doing and the cost. It was approximately $7,000 and change per coordinator, so that was approximately $80,000, $70,000 and change. And also, when we were getting our staffing requirements, because each one of them only taught 3 classes, and you need 5 classes taught, we were hiring more staff. So it winds up being hundreds of thousands of dollars in savings. And also, when I looked at the roles and responsibilities of the coordinators, a lot of those tasks were administrative. And that is why we have supervisors. We have K through 12 supervisors to perform those duties and responsibilities. So that was just one example. We thought it was important when you integrate staff and administration. So now when you have concerns, issues, whether they be positive or possibly negative, the staff belongs going directly to building level administration. If it's curricular and concept, then they go directly to the supervisor K through 12. If it's building level based concerns, a prep, they need to look at the class configuration, they have too many children, they're short, whatever they might need, they would go to the vice principals and the principal. So that was just one example. A couple of the other things that we looked to do was to streamline professional learning and support. What does that mean? You go directly to building level administrator. There's nothing wrong with having an individual that stands out, that assists you, but once again, these coordinators were hired to be classroom teachers. They were hired to teach your children. They are some of our best instructors. So by me removing the coordinators, they went ahead and went directly back to the classroom and they started to teach a full schedule. When we started to look at the business operational efficiency, I think it's important to note that when additional monies were given to people, it was in a response to, prior to me getting here, 1 or 2 positions at the business office level were not replaced. So whether it be through attrition, retirement, resignation, whatever it might be, they were no longer there. And some of the individuals came to me and said, we are doing the workload of 1 or 2 other people. So rather than go ahead and spend what we call a FTE, which is a full-time equivalent, spending the money on that salary and health insurance benefits, I said, well, what is it about the workload? Tell me about the workload, and I had these meetings. At that time, I went ahead and restructured their salaries to give them a raise to compensate for the additional work without costing the taxpayers more money because the person or persons were not being replaced. As we continue, we see the comment, reduced redundant expenditures. That means that when someone is hired to do a job and they perhaps might be, I don't know, a building level administrator and they happen to be 12 months, and then we might get a grant funded program that happens in the summer. There were monies being paid to administrative staff during the summer, but they are already a paid administrator. They work for us, for you, 12 months. So perhaps we needed to reallocate the job responsibilities and not pay them the additional monies. And that's what I mean when I wrote reduced redundant expenditures. I worked directly with Ms. Allen and I worked directly with Ms. Christie, who took on the responsibilities of a lot of that grant funding, and we sat down and we talked about when it is appropriate to pay someone additional monies and when is it not. I think as we go through this, one of the things with the athletic department, prior to me taking on this position, I know our athletic director was always referred to as an athletic director. Our athletic director was not an athletic director, nor was his predecessor an athletic director. He was a supervisor of athletics, co-curricular programs, and physical education. So in the creation of an athletic director and switching the supervisor to supervisor of fine and performing arts and physical education and health, it allowed us, because we are a very large, and there is a term, group 1, is that the right term? Group 4. Group 4 or 5? Depending on, okay. So we are large where we compete at a high level, so it gave us an opportunity to have an athletic director that concentrates solely on athletics. And as you can see, it's all because of the coaches and the kids, but we have been able to share it in great positive experiences that have been happening. So what has happened is we're able to look at things also on a closer level. Our athletic director does not oversee physical education and health, and therefore all of his time, efforts, and concentration is specifically in the area of athletics. We currently have a club, or it is a club team for cricket. Our high school cheerleading is one to really be revered. Up until now, we did not give it the time or attention that we needed to financially because parents were really bearing the burden of a very large amount of money that really should have been shared with the district, and now it currently is shared. We have additionally what you would be the equivalent of, like a team A and a team B for cheerleading. And one of the things that was brought to my attention by a very involved parent, and I looked, as I do with many things that are brought to me, and I don't just say no, I say let's see if we can make it work, is we, for the first time ever, have middle school wrestling. As we continue to look, one of the things that I felt was also very important and was unfortunately shared in a negative way, and now this is my opportunity to set the record straight, the technology department had approximately an $80,000 position that was placed in the budget that preceded me, actually. And that position would have been for an individual to be hired based upon that amount. Please don't quote me. Perhaps it was 70-something. Perhaps it was 90, but around that amount of money. So instead, when I redid the organizational structure and placed Mr. Feldman directly under Dr. Lehman, rather than in the business office where he previously was, he started having conversations with Dr. Lehman, because now he had a direct relationship, because technology should only exist for children. We don't have technology here because we all want an Apple, an iPhone. The technology that we have in schools is direct relationship to instruction of your kids. So it really belongs with the gentleman who's in charge of the curriculum. So now that this gentleman answered directly to Dr. Lehman, they started having conversations, and Dr. Lehman and Mr. Feldman brought to me, in order for us to present as part of our defense rounds, taking that money, changing the tiers, the job responsibilities, and even the job name of the current technology employees that we had, giving them more money and allowing them to do additional responsibilities and really spreading the wealth. So when I read misinformation, but I do not comment on Facebook, when I read misinformation that the technology money was just given to people, and I wanted to set the record straight, no. The plan was not my plan. You're only as good as the people that surround you. The plan came from Mr. Feldman and Dr. Lehman, and it was an excellent plan because we had 1 or 2 individuals that had taken on other jobs in other districts, and they in turn were going to be leaving, rightfully so. Everybody has to make sure that they do the very best for themselves. And we were able to keep them in-house by restructuring their actual jobs and keeping that money that was already allotted in the budget but was given rather than creating another position. So what does this all mean? This is an opportunity, just like you respectfully always have an opportunity to come and speak, this is an opportunity for me to share the different things that we look at as action, things that have already occurred, and vision. Some of the vision has occurred, some of it hasn't. The reason why I'm sharing it is because when I came to the board and asked for the renegotiation, I brought them this plan of action to say, if you are just kept for the year or the year and a half, we've never had a superintendent in many, many years that had an opportunity to bring anything to fruition. They said, pre-me. People come, they're here 2 years, 3 years, they leave. So every time you get something started, you get a vision, which is going to be part of our strategic plan, which we're looking at, and then of course we're going to be welcoming in the community. You can never get to fruition because you're not here long enough. So you look at what the person before you started, you look at what's valuable, you definitely take it, you don't discard it, but then you move forward to see if it matches the vision and the mission and the plan to get where you need to get for the children. So when we look at professional learning and staff development, we want to make sure everything's school-based. The reason why you give a test to kids is to see if they've learned. So you purposely always want it, it's not I want to get the kid, it's a gotcha. We want them to be successful. It means that as teachers, we did our jobs. Well, it's the same thing with staff development. We pay for professional staff development. Sometimes we pay for it externally where it comes in. Sometimes we use our own in-house people to do it, paid, sometimes it's part of the day, but time is money, and we want to make sure that at every building level, we are looking at the needs of the staff so they can turnkey it to your children. Evolving school counseling services. One of the things that I think is extremely valuable and was started by my predecessor, Dr. Alvick, was the concept, and it happened during COVID, mental health, mental well-being. As a mom, I always wanted my children to be very successful academically. Then we started living through life. What does that mean? I want my children, your children, our children, to be mentally healthy, to be mentally well, to be socially comfortable in who they are as a person. You cannot do that unless you involve and then evolve the school counseling services. It shouldn't be someone's mistreating your child, so now your child goes to the guidance counselor. That's not what it's supposed to be. That's reactive. We want to make sure it's proactive. Looking at what's going on through the counselors. Taking an examination like we do with all the other positions to say, what are the counseling services that are available? Do we have what we call classroom guidance? Starts in the elementary school. Something that we're now going to be putting into the middle school. We currently don't have classroom guidance at the high school because we know high school counselors all have different tasks and job responsibilities. But one of the things that we're looking at is that we want to establish a district vision philosophy so that we're able to maintain a preeminent position. And all that means is we want to be proactive. COVID has affected many, many people in different ways. Some people it hasn't affected at all. Some people it has affected with a terrible loss of life. Some people it has affected with permanent disabilities or health. Sometimes it just has affected your children so that emotionally and socially, maybe not even academically, they're in a different place. We want to make sure that we don't miss a step, that we don't overlook possibly how the life that we're currently living and how different this world is has affected your children. And that's one of the areas in which I want to make sure that we look at the continued counseling services. Continued expansion of the athletic department. One of the things that I've seen just from being a vice principal and a principal is that there is a culture that has existed that people don't even apply for jobs because the job is already taken. Job's already taken. I'm not going to go out to be the football coach. I'm not going to go out to be the basketball coach because so-and-so and so-and-so already have the job. So all of those positions, just so you know, are yearly. No one is entitled to that job. So one of the things that I've asked Mr. Barandika to do in his first initial year is he is now going to all of the schools, not just the high school, not just the middle school, but all of the elementary schools to introduce himself, to say, he's a brand new guy on board, we want to let you know we want you involved. Everybody likes to make extra money, we respect that. We don't want you leaving us to make your extra money somewhere else. We want you, who are the teachers of our children, maybe in kindergarten, first grade, third grade, sixth grade, whatever it might be, to come and maybe be a coach or an assistant coach. We want you to perhaps be the one that takes the ticket or scans the ticket if we're doing it online or is in the crowd. We want this. We don't have that type of application. When I say application, we have the application. We don't have those applying. And we don't know why. So if Mr. Barandika goes to all of the buildings and says, this is who I am, this is our culture, this is what we want. I had this conversation actually today with Dr. Higgins. He started it last year, having faculty meetings and saying, please apply for these jobs. Don't assume they already belong to someone else because that is not the case. So it's a change in culture. It's just a change in the way you think, people think things are being done. So one of the things that also came that I managed to do with the support, of course, of my administrative team and the support of the board when they approved it, is we redesigned and evolved existing positions. So for example, we did not spend more money by creating different director positions because we did not replace other positions. So we had a supervisor of grants testing who was also the HIB district coordinator. Now Dr. Lehman is the HIB district coordinator for no additional funds. Thank you, Dr. Lehman. And what we did was we took pieces of that job and we found people that we felt had the skill set. So I used the example of Director of Human Resources. Director of Human Resources has been an integral part of my superintendency. I work with her daily regarding all certification, weekly, daily, whatever the need is. She sits in on all of the interviews for the interview process because she is the Director of Human Resources, and her value, I don't think, perhaps, I don't know to what extent it was utilized, but I utilize it. And I think it's very, very important. And one of the things we also do is I found out she had a very strong background in grant writing. So when we didn't replace the supervisor of grants and testing, we turned around and said, wow, this is fantastic. Do we give her a raise? Absolutely. She should get a raise, and now she's in charge of grants. Just got something the other day from the state. I phoned to her, she said, already went there. I check with her, what do you need from us? She's doing it, she's making it happen. And she's also one of the people that I work directly with Ms. Allen, regarding the, I want to say it politically correct, regarding someone perhaps getting paid for doing something that might be grant funded, even though they're already getting paid to be here 12 months. So she was one of the integral people of saying we should not be doing those things anymore. So I worked directly with her. When we created the Director of Innovative Community Programs, Equity and Careers Technology, we took the extra stipends, I'm going to use his name because he's sitting right here, Mr. Moraldo was making, we put it into his salary, and now his salary exists based upon all the amounts, the amount of money based upon creating the Director of Athletics, as well as that, and the redistribution of the K-12 supervisor was a savings to the district.
It was not me wasting money. It was me saying, we have a position that we're not going to fill. Let's take that money and move it around, and let's utilize people's strengths. We all have different strengths. Additionally, the director of security and residency, we went ahead and we made each building responsible for truancy. Why is that valuable? Fortunately, in Monroe Township, our truant issues are not the same truancy that may exist in some of the city schools. It's very different. Our children sometimes are school avoidance. Sometimes our children feel that they don't want to go to school. Perhaps there's an issue with another child. Sometimes they just don't feel emotionally or socially comfortable. So by putting it in the schools, it's not that we're sending out a police officer. We're sending out, sometimes it's a guidance counselor. Sometimes it could be a teacher. They get paid an amount of money that is previously prescribed because it's part of the MTEA contract. And then they go and they work directly, if they're not the counselor, with the counselors, with the mom. How do we get your child to school? Your child hasn't been to school in 15 days. Can we get your child to come in only on Wednesdays? It's not the same that we remember when we think of truancy, especially at the lower levels. It's not. And when you bring it to the courts, which we do when we need to, the courts are basically saying, what would you like us to do? You need to take care of it. So by making the change in that, and the director of security only handles residency, we now have the truancy, we use the word officer, but the truancy individual who works directly in the school, directly with the mom, with the dad, sometimes the grandparents, to say, how can we help you get your child in school where they belong? Another position that we felt we were very passionate about was the creation of a K-5 elementary supervisor. Up until, I guess, the last year or so, we had Ms. Ruella, who's our Director of Pupil Personnel Services, in charge of many, many different things, too many for me to name, and then we had one special education supervisor. Special education is an area in which we have a very large population in this district because we do it well. People move here because of our special education services and what a good job instructionally we do in the classroom and the type of services that we provide. But there is an old saying, what gets monitored gets done, and one person cannot monitor everything. So by putting in another supervisor, we had an opportunity that we now have a continuity of instruction, a continuity of expectations, where they work together with myself, with Dr. Lehman, with Ms. Ruella, and they are able to look at the needs of the child as they go through our elementary schools, to our middle school, to our high school, and we have 2 supervisors doing that. One of the things that I talked about on the previous slide, I'm not going to repeat myself, is leveraging budgetary savings to evolve and redesign existing roles, as I talked about earlier. Contrary to some of the information that has been shared, it has been a savings to the district. I have managed to save hundreds of thousands of dollars by reallocating positions, making changes, and even something as simplistic as the coordinators, looking at the coordinators' responsibilities and saying, those are supervisory expectations, those are administrative roles, those are not teaching roles. You're a great teacher, go teach. And the couple of teachers that we may have needed to hire again, we did not. And every teacher that we do not hire is a saving of almost $100,000, if not more. So when we look at vision, we want to continue to optimize instructional leadership, district-wide vision for curriculum, improved administration, accessibility, communications. We want the teachers to have the comfort level to go directly to their administrators. We want to remove that middle level pseudo. Once again, they don't hold a certificate. Coordinators, team leaders, whatever they may be, they're classroom teachers. They are not administrators. So we feel teachers should teach and let the administrators do the administration of what they need to do for their buildings. We talked a lot about student health, safety, and nursing. I would be remiss if I did not mention our nurses. Our nurses are exceptional. When possible, we want to always hire the best, and even if they are the most costly, they are absolutely worth it. Our nurses come to us, many of them with years and years of education in the private sector, in various different hospitals. They work the gamut from private medical offices to hospitals where some of them are OR nurses, and we are starting more and more to listen to them. Why? because since I'm now in this position, we have a lead nurse. That individual, Ms. Ramolta, who is stationed in the middle school, works in collaboration with all of the nurses K through 12. She meets with us on a regular basis. She gives me her input. She was invaluable during the COVID situation, making sure we were complying with the state, complying with everything we needed to comply with, but also controlling our own school district. And even now, every alert that we get from Middlesex County Health goes directly to her. She examines everything. She's on top of everything from making sure that our defibrillators are proper, are working. She takes care of making sure that anybody who needs training in the areas of coaching is done. And you can't do that unless you have a good relationship directly with nursing. Eventually, I'd like to see a position where we actually have a supervisor of nurses. It's valuable. It's so valuable because the bottom line is if we don't keep them healthy and we don't keep them safe, we can't teach them. So they are beyond one of the most important positions, and having that relationship with an individual who acts as a liaison is something that I've been very, very proud to be able to do, and I'm happy to continue that relationship with her. Curriculum and instruction. So we heard from the students, we heard from the parents, and we made some changes. One of the major changes that occurred, which I think is very valuable, and I believe for the most part has been set straight on the record, we never wanted to dummy down, and those were the words that I heard, dummy down our requirements. We wanted to make our requirements state appropriate and competitive, but we wanted to remember that we worry about all children, not just our math and science kids. We have to worry about our math and science kids, our humanities children, our special education children, our vocational children, everybody's child. So when you have stringent requirements, which are important because we want to have high expectations, but you have requirements above and beyond what the state requires, you are then stopping perhaps a humanities student, someone that would excel in the area of English, social studies, or the electives, not having room in their schedule to take additional classes. So we went ahead, it came to policy, went through a curriculum, went through policy. So one of the changes that we made was to the graduation requirements. And I cannot even tell you, I just had my student liaison with my children, and they are, oh my God, now I could take the third and fourth class I could never take before. And if you are a math and science kid, you still can take the same classes you would have taken before the changes were made. So it hurt no one, but helped everyone. We looked and we were told over and over again, my child can't get into computer science. We have how many sections more this year? How many more classes? 5. 5 more. Why? Because we worked directly with Dr. Higgins. We worked directly with the supervisor and said, how do we help you? What is it we're missing? Is it space? Do we need to move people around? Do we need teachers? Do we need to do extra sections? What do we need to do? We started looking at aligning and updating STEM and robotics. We cannot ignore, although they are equally as important as all the other children that I mentioned, we do have children in our district that also move here because we have a very strong STEM program. So what do? We continue the STEM program. Just because we want to make sure that we accommodate all doesn't mean we take away from what exists. We want to grow the programs. So we've grown the programs. We align and update the STEM and robotics programs. We have, for the first time, one of the things I wanted to do as a middle school principal was, why don't we have the advanced ELA in the middle school? We have advanced math. It starts in 4th grade, goes all the way through middle school. I was always told it couldn't happen. It happens. We're doing it. We have an advanced ELA course. Does that mean if your child's not in it, you cannot go into honors in high school? Absolutely not. It means that you have an opportunity in middle school to have an advanced ELA, and if you want to continue, that's fantastic if you have the scores. If you didn't do it, but you want to get into it, you can as well. So we have advanced ELA because, once again, we have to worry about children that have both sides of the brain. Additionally, the alternative pathways, which was referred to in option 2, has been going on in this state in many, many, many districts for at least 10, 15 years. It gives an opportunity to our athletes. We have athletes who work tirelessly being on a team. Being on a team, one team, two teams, three teams. They just need the opportunity to utilize their time in other areas. It could be anything from going home to study. Some of them work a job. So now we finally have option 2. It's one of our most successful programs, Alternative Pathways to Physical Education. These are things that have been brought forth before, but just needed to come to fruition. You need time. You need a person at the helm who moves things forward. We are now providing an advanced enrichment service at the middle school that's not only during the day, but before school. One of the things that we've been doing here for years is we had what we call talented and gifted after school. The state says you must integrate your talented and gifted programs during the day. We're doing it. It's happening. We've redesigned and updated our Monroe Township High School work-based learning program. We now have more established additional dual credit programs. We are starting a class in September in the middle school that's going to be like a success for all. One of the things that has been brought to my attention, and I was here, I was the first vice principal or principal, I don't remember what position I was in, when we started the AVID program. The AVID program, Advancement via Individual Determination, is a smart person went ahead and packaged good skills, went ahead and packaged best practices. Should we say that if you happen to be special education, you can't be in it? Should we say that because you happen to be in all the higher level classes, you shouldn't benefit from the skills that come with it? So now, starting in September, in 6th grade, every 6th grade child will matriculate through a class in which they'll learn the WIC core strategies, writing, inquiry, collaboration, organization. They'll do literacy, financial literacy. Children nowadays can't tell you 10% of anything. Simple financial literacy. Utilizing an agenda book. That's valuable because time management comes from an understanding of being disciplined, being organized. All of these things will be taught to everybody's child, regardless of what program they're going to wind up in the high school. And that's going to start in 6th grade. Some of the vision that we're looking for, we all have heard the voices of the public about full-day kindergarten. There is not an individual out there that would absolutely dispute that full-time kindergarten is academically, socially, and emotionally what's right for children. We have to really start to look at how we make sure that we do not have our children, what's the term that we always use? Unhoused children. We have to confirm that our unhoused children, with some of the changes that we're starting to make as part of the vision, before we can turn around and bring full-day kindergarten. I did ask our grants, our Director of Human Resources, to please reach out to the state and say, we know you're giving away money for pre-K. We know. But how about you give us some money for kindergarten? I don't know if it'll ever happen, but we're doing it. We're making the effort to see what we can do. We started to design plans, and when I say plans, because I want to make sure I'm quoted correctly, not plans with an architect. It's plans meaning conversation, discussion. What does it look like if we wanted to have full-day kindergarten and could get there? What does that look like? So we started to have that conversation. The schools that are affected, Barclay Brook is one of the schools that would be affected at the highest level because there's no room. So that's all part of the vision. Civics and service-based instruction. We have a civics class. I think the civics class does a good job. I think it could do a better job. I think the civics class and curriculum needs to be looked at, and it shouldn't stop only because it's prescribed by the state of New Jersey that it has to occur during 6th, 7th, or 8th grade. We always say that the purpose of education is also to create a good citizen. We want the children to be good citizens. We want them to have an understanding of what it's like to participate in the community. 21st century computer science and career tech programs, we are constantly advancing them because of the needs of the world that we live in for those that are going into those areas. Pre-vocational pathways and certification programs. We think it's important that we don't forget our children who may want to go the route of a vocational environment. Kudos to them. College is important, absolutely, but what about the child that has the innate ability to do things with their hands and wants to be a mechanic? I'm not doing a question and answer, I'm just doing a presentation. You're welcome to comment later.
Excuse me, we're in the middle of a presentation by Dr. Chanley. When she's done, we will open it up to the public. Thank you. I'm sorry, you're out of order. Excuse me. No, No, she is not. She has the floor.
Can security remove her, please?
So, what I said, to be exact, was I would not be reading it line by line, nor am I. So, one of the things that's important is that we want to look at post-secondary credit and we want to look at vocational. We don't want anything to bear the brunt of losing out for something else. We can look at our children graduating possibly with an associate's degree, graduating with dual credit, and still be cognizant to our children that need pre-vocational and then vocational skills to be successful in the workforce, in addition, if they decide that they are not college-bound. We feel that it's so important to have the expanded enrichment learning. We want children to have an opportunity during the summer programs, before school, and after school, so that they can take advantage of the opportunities that we have through our own staff. District infrastructure. We are working on a shared services agreement. I believe I may say that. We are currently in the throes of working on that. A press release did come out directly from the mayor, so I'm not misspeaking, where they are going to be working with the district. We announced that we did receive $4 million in a ROD grant. What does that mean? It means we needed $10 million, and we could take the $4 million, but only if we could show them that we have the other $6 million. We did get $1 million from Senator Greenstein, putting that in the budget for the state level, and now we're waiting to work out the particulars of the shared service agreement to receive the $5 million from the township, because we know how important that is, so that we are able to do what needs to be done to Applegarth Elementary School. Some of these things that we're looking at here is based upon the things that have been done under my superintendency, and then we want to continue with the vision of municipal shared services. We are currently, the golf range property belongs to us. We are in the process, actually, working with an architect and engineer to go ahead and retrofit that, for lack of a better word, and lack of a better term, rather, so that pupil personnel services can move out of where they are currently located on Prospect Plains. We have been informed by the new owner that for all of the suites that we utilize, it will be just shy of $10,000 a month. So we want to be conscientious. So we started looking at and we worked on the plans to remove them from there before we have to sign for another lease to save money in that area. Central office reconfiguration. We constantly are looking at cross-pollinating work responsibilities within the business office, payroll, assistant superintendent's office, to be as efficient as possible. We don't just take things for granted and say, well, that's the way it was always done. We start looking at who has the skills to do what jobs. And we are very proud that we were able to return our special education students to their original home schools, both from the out-of-district population, as well as we have currently returned 2 classes that are self-contained classes across town in the area of Mill Lake to be able to go back to school at Oak Tree, and that is a big deal. Because those children, some of them live not only in the Oak Tree, Applegarth area, but they live across 33, and they sit on a bus for a minimum of 50 minutes to an hour and 10 minutes. And they don't play with the same children from the neighborhood, and they don't go to school with their brothers and sisters, and that is unacceptable. And that is one of the visions that I'm very passionate about that we're going to continue to do, and so far we've returned 2 classes so that the children can go to school with their own peers. Last thing, we talk about municipal shared services was started way before me. It's something that we do, and it's something that we'd like to continue to do. We have a very good relationship now with the township. We're looking, the next project, once we get the Applegarth project all settled, is looking at our stadium bleachers and perhaps athletic facilities, so that it's something that they would want to utilize as well, instead of just, they have wonderful events in the park, but maybe if we make it more of a stadium similar to the way they have it in other districts. Toms River comes to mind, the way they have a bubble, as well as they have their center, which I don't know, they changed the name so many times. It's not, I think it's Robin Wood Johnson now. I don't think it's Poland Spring anymore. But that's something that we should be talking about, and that comes through communication. Same thing, government community relations. One of the, I think one of the positive relationships that have fostered and continues is our relationship with Jamesburg. Jamesburg is an active participant in our educational community, rather, and we want to get them ready for that experience when they get to the high school. So now we have them participating in events starting in the 6th grade and the 8th grade. I've heard from teachers and I've heard from students. It's really been a great experience. working directly with their superintendent. We now have they only have one, their supervisor come and meet with our supervisors. We just had the meeting about, I think it was last month. We want their children to have the same advantages, to be ready, to be positive participants as they are, and get the same opportunities. But how do you get the same opportunities? By having the same foundation, and we're starting to make that happen. I talked about the municipal government, enhanced digital presence. One of the things that was brought to our attention, I believe Ms. Bora was one of the people that brought it to our attention, is we have to do a better job of getting ourselves out there. So now we are working directly, Mr. Moraldo is over this, to make sure that when we see Instagram, when we see Facebook, what we're doing, because it's all about your kids. And it should be all about your kids. And we're trying very hard to have a better digital presence, being cognizant that people utilize different platforms. So if you look at something on your phone versus you look at something on a computer, it's very different. So we're trying to find a way to do it the best we can so that all platforms, it comes across in a positive way on all platforms. So I thank you very much for your indulgence and for your time. I thought I owed you, the community, the parents, for the children, my vision. It's really not my, I know I'm speaking, so I have to say my, it's really our, because nothing is done in isolation. I work directly with the administrative staff, directly with the Board of Education for their support, and I think it's very important that things take time. Nothing can be done in a year. True change takes 3 to 5 years, so I wanted to take the opportunity, and I appreciate very much your patience. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Chanley. We've had a revolving door of superintendents for the last decade here in Monroe. It is evident that our district could have been more competitive with our surrounding districts, but we did not have the continuity of leadership for so long. Over the last 2 years, however, under Dr. Chanley, with the support of this board, we have made so many impactful changes that we have already seen progress here in our district. Dr. Chanley has been in our district for 20 years, and having the knowledge of our unique needs is very valuable. The central office staff works together collaboratively with Dr. Chanley, and it shows in all things coming out of the district. Our administrators throughout the district respect Dr. Chanley, and she has a great relationship with not only the teachers' union, but the administrators' union as well. Dr. Chanley did complete her doctoral program and reached her 20-year anniversary here in our district. Both of those accomplishments are reflected in this new contract. As in any job, when you find an exceptional employee, you do what you can to ensure that they stay. Dr. Chanley's vision for the future will help our district reach its full potential, and I'm confident it will bring incredible success for all of our learners. With that, I will open up our public hearing for anybody wishing to speak. You have 4 minutes. State your name and your municipality.
Brian Fabiano, Monroe Township. While I appreciate what seemed like an interview, the fact remains this was not a job interview, and I appreciate what you presented, but you have 18 months left on your contract. Keep up the great work, but the contract is still there. So I want to go over some things about the contract. There's more than 50% of the life of the contract still left. That's 18 months out to June of 2025. You're the highest paid superintendent in the history of Monroe. The contract does not provide raises for further education. The contract provides yearly evaluations, which you've only had one. The contract states that a board must provide additional compensation if you take on additional job responsibilities. The contract states that you can have an adjustment relating to the salary in the form of an amendment, but you do not need an extension. The contract calls for extra money if you take a waiver on the health care benefits. The contract states if you don't do anything, it auto-renews after your contract expiration in 2025 to 2028. The contract comes with accountabilities and responsibilities. The state of the district has a gap in funding. It requires us to go out in April to taxpayers to have a tax increase via a over 2% cap budget. Our contract for our teachers took many a months, teachers standing in the back, coming for a decent contract, and they took cuts, they took higher benefits, and they took a marginal increase. We know that there are supply shortages throughout the district. There are cuts to club buses because we don't have the money to support it. There's limited access. The district just went to the town for over $4 million to bridge the ROD grant that you spoke about, so there wasn't enough money to make that happen. There's cuts throughout the district, but an increase of administrative staff. There's a shortage of bus drivers because we're still underpaying compared to other districts. Our teachers are still some of the lowest paid in the state of New Jersey. There's a significant amount of teachers leaving the district. So board members, you must ask yourself, why must we modify this contract now? I just told you there's 18 months left to 2025. With 18 months to go, why don't we wait to see what happens in April when we ask taxpayers to take a tax increase because we don't have money as it is? How can you justify spending more money that we don't have while the district is in financial distress? What message does that send to our hardworking staff, our teachers, our supervisors, our principals back there, all of our support staff, our custodians, our bus drivers, all who don't get the luxury mid-contract to get a raise, to change their contract terms? That is a luxury. No one else in this district gets it. So I'll end with this. This contract doesn't make sense, and it doesn't make sense now. Thank you.
I would like to point out a couple of things that were stated that were not true. Club buses were not cut from our students. That is not true. And just in response to Dr. Chanley's salary, something that needs to be understood by the public is her salary did not increase significantly when she went from being a principal to a superintendent. That is because she was here for many, many years, and the way the salary works in public education, the longer you are in a district, the higher your salary is. It goes up on a scale. So when Dr. Chanley took this position, she did not take a significant increase in pay from going from being the administrator of one building to being in charge of the entire district. That is something that I think is important to understand. Had she been continuing as a principal, she would be receiving the increase, the same increase that we gave to the administrators in their new contract as well. So that is something that the public should be aware of. She is not the highest paid superintendent here because we just decided to give her an exorbitant salary. It is based on her years of service here in the district. And as a note, she is one of the lowest paid superintendents in the entire county of Middlesex. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Barry Carbon, and I live at Regency at Monroe. And obviously, I don't have any children in school, but I'm a product of public schools, and I try to take an interest in it. I appreciate Dr. Chanley's presentation, and I appreciate her vision, which all may be terrific. I'm not an educator, so I can't judge it. But I can judge the financial impact and the managerial impact on increasing the superintendent's salary and executing this contract at this time. The tax burden on the public seems to be ready to be increased significantly. The school district has found and said that it cannot exist with the existing tax level, and it cannot exist without a significant increase over the statutory limit. As such, it leaves an impression with both the public and with the educational staff that things are not too good. Things could happen, layoffs could happen. The school being open at night could stop, the clubs could be reduced depending upon the result of this coming election. There's a bond issue that's going to have to resurface. We know we don't have sufficient room for the amount of students that are coming into the district. And because of the peculiarities of how zoning is done in New Jersey, many students are coming in housing that is designed for families at this time. So the level is going to increase in the number of students to be housed and educated. And it is important that the board present an image of austerity in their spending at this time, and to justify the fact that it cannot live within its budget. There are people who have left this town, retired people, and gone off to Florida where the tax burden is less. I don't think you want to create a situation where Monroe becomes unhospitable to seniors that are not using school services but are paying school taxes. God knows what would happen if every household in Monroe had a couple of children in the schools. Be thankful for us old people. We educated our kids somewhere else. So I would ask that you consider all these things in approving this contract at this time. Nothing reflects on Dr. Chanley. This is not an issue of her personality or her performance or her vision. This is an issue of credibility for the school board. You must give the image of managing the funds well to the population, and you have not demonstrated that. So I would appreciate that you would consider that in your decision. Thank you, and thank you, Dr. Chanley, for your presentation. It was terrific. And nothing about this has anything to do with you as an individual. Thank you again.
Happy holidays, everybody, first of all. Just wanted to bring to the board's attention, can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Well, I just wanted to say,
Your name and
my name is
municipality?
Moeed Muqtadir. I'm fairly new to the township, and I came here because obviously the school education is well profoundly known. I'm actually a New Yorker as well, Dr. Chanley, but I've lived in Jersey for many years. I went to high school here, but long story short, the reason I'm on this mic right now is because I have an issue, and we need to have a side dialogue, Doctor, if we get a chance. The Board of Transportation has been horrible. I have 3 little children, and thank you. And what's happening, I'm not sure if you're aware, I don't even see the Board of Transportation here, if they're represented or not. That's concerning by itself. I've talked to Kathleen McDonald, she's the director. She shoved off my wife off the phone on a Friday, especially when we're calling with the complaint. Our bus route, the bus driver there, it's a brand new bus driver. The last bus driver, his name was Jim, great guy. Wish him well, I heard he took a new bus route. But the problem is, I'm talking to Kathleen McDonald and it's falling on deaf ears. My wife is upset as well. My children, they're being,
Sir,
I'm sorry to say.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but this is the public hearing on the contract?
Yeah, no, I just wanted, well, the reason I came here was I was directed by some other people to speak to Doctor as well, but I wanted the whole board to take minutes on this as well.
There is another public forum at the end of the agenda where you can address
end,
any issue, but this right now was
Okay.
specific to
Today?
the contract.
Right now?
Yes, today.
Okay, I'll wait then. I'll
Thank
talk to you guys later.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Ellen Panzer-Schwartz from Monroe Township. I'm here today as a former educator, former school board member, Monroe Township resident, and grandparent. My biggest question for the school board is, why are you doing this now? This makes absolutely no sense. You are asking us in April now to vote to go over a 2% cap because you financially cannot handle the responsibilities within the budget that we have. Dr. Chanley, you are the highest paid superintendent that this district has ever had so far. I really don't understand why, after less than a year, you are asking for this raise. We have some of the teachers. I've been following data. I'm a very data-driven person. A lot of our teachers are some of the lowest paid in the state. Their contract negotiations went on and on. Not only did they not get the salaries that they deserved, because again, as a school board, our first goal is to ensure the education of our children. That is the focus of a school board. It is also the focus to make sure that our teachers are given what they need to teach, that we have enough staff. That is where the money goes first. That is where the money goes second. If you are living below the poverty line, I would gladly say, well, we need to raise your salary at this time, but you are not. The teachers, and as a former teacher, to hear that our teachers in this district had an increase of 19% to pay their medical insurance, what kind of contract are we negotiating for our teachers? I always look at data. I know you brought a lot of points in the PowerPoint. I appreciate all of those things. But where is the actual data to corroborate that we need to right now run to increase your term till 2028 and to increase your salary? We have no schools in this district currently that are blue ribbon schools. I look at other districts. Yes, their superintendents are getting a raise. Yes, their teachers are getting raises. They have blue ribbon schools. We have no all-day kindergarten. We can talk about figuring out space. We can talk about we're first looking at things. We are one of the few districts in New Jersey that does not have all-day kindergarten. We also don't have enough money for all of the busing for after-school programs. Schools like Applegarth, that's not a maintenance issue anymore. And again, I would be horrified if my own grandchildren were in Applegarth School, where the roof needs repairing, where things have just been falling apart. It's not about maintenance, it's not about mitigation. It's really about taking over and doing major construction to ensure the health of our children. And that has to be taken care of. Before you take another dime, you prove that things are moving forward for our children. And again, imploring this school board to look at our children first. At this point, I feel like we don't even have enough money to keep the lights on. Is that my time?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for your comment.
I'm going to ask and implore this school board, vote for what your job is supposed to be. Vote for the children of this district. Vote for them. That's where your money goes.
Thank you, ma'am.
First,
Thank you.
second, third.
And again, I just want to correct a couple of misstatements. There is no after-school shortage of busing for our students. Everything that we have been providing previously has been in place for our students. Our teacher contract negotiation went very well. It did not drag on and on. In fact, it was the only time that I could remember in Monroe's history that we negotiated a contract with the teachers union prior to the contract expiring. We were told that there was a significant decrease to the health insurance premiums for our teachers, and the contract was a 4% raise, which was one of the highest, I believe, that was here in Monroe Township ever. So we do appreciate and we do respect our teachers and staff. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Patricia Swalje. I'm a resident of Monroe, and I'm also a senior citizen. I am on a fixed income, so I'm all about the budget. I am not going to make any comments to Dr. Chanley about the fact that she's asking for a raise and a contract extension. My comments are to the school board, because you are the ones that are going to be voting on this raise and this contract extension, when you know that you are also went to the state to ask to go over the 2% cap in your school budget. All right, so that's number one. Number two is, Dr. Chanley is, in my opinion, well compensated. What she had presented here today is her vision. It's nothing that's quantifiable, because it's in the future. Future kindergarten, future this and future that. It's a vision. It's not quantified yet. There's nothing that I'm hearing from the school board or in this presentation that is showing what is quantified since Dr. Chanley became the superintendent of schools. I looked up her budget presentation from 2022 to 2023, and now the new one from 2023 to 2024. Key budgetary considerations have not changed between the two budgets, and they are the aging facilities, increasing enrollment, New Jersey student loaning standards, student-teacher ratio, and the tax impact on the community. So since Dr. Chanley recognizes that there is a need to consider the tax impact on the community, you as board members should also, before you vote on this contract, she put it in her budget considerations, key budgetary considerations, the impact on the community, because the funding for the school board comes from people like me. It comes from the taxpayers. Now, as far as aging facilities go, I don't see where there's a plan to address that. You've got as a vision full-day kindergarten. I feel like that's a vision, that's a nice thought, but with all that needs to be addressed with the maintenance in our existing facilities, I don't see that happening anytime soon. The fact that Dr. Chanley in her presentation kind of presented that she needs a 5-year extension on her contract because we need to have a superintendent that's in place for a certain period of time to fulfill visionary, I guess, ideas. I would like to see something that's quantifying what she's done now. She's well compensated as far as vacation days, sick time, personal days, that totals 35 days. There are 26 holidays in the school year. So all in all, that's 61 days of off. Health benefits, she gets, the insurance company that does the teachers' health benefits is the same for the superintendent, but the plans are different. She gets an iPhone. She gets paid mileage. She gets compensated for attending 6 different organization conventions, conferences. So we don't know how many, since she's superintendent, has she gone to, and what has been that cost to the school district. Does Dr. Chanley also get a life insurance policy as part of her compensation? Do we pay into her pension plan? Those are questions that I have. Are those benefits going to be increased with this new contract? Just to put this into perspective, the governor of New Jersey is making $175,000 in his base salary. Dr. Chanley is at the moment for making $205,705.
Thank you for your comments. And it should be interesting to note, Dr. Chanley is not the highest paid position in our school district. Again, when you are here for a long period of time, your salary increases. Dr. Chanley is here 20 years, and her salary has increased through the years. Obviously, moving from a principal to a superintendent position, you would give an increase in salary for that. And we are taking care of the children. And part of not being able to stay under the 2% cap is something that districts across New Jersey are starting to face. And what this board decided was we were not going to, off the bat, just make drastic cuts to the things for our students. that we were going to go through our budget process, be as fiscally responsible as we could, and hopefully not go very far over the 2%. But we did not want to see drastic cuts here at the cost of education to our students. They are first and foremost the responsibility of this board to educate properly. I'm sorry, you're out of order, ma'am. Your time is done. Good evening.
Hello, my name is Jennifer DePretta. I'm in Monroe Township, and I am here to speak out against the raise and contract extension of Superintendent Sherry Tranley. In my experience, I keep hearing this is for the children. It is not for the children. She's at the top of our district's chain of command, and this chain of command has failed my daughter terribly. I have 3 children in Monroe in 3 different schools. The chain of command is a structure that outlines formal lines of authority, responsibility, and communication within an organization. I'm going to skip this part because it's not relevant. My daughter has multiple health issues. It started in January 3rd of 2022 in one school, moved to the middle school. I'm going to sum it up. It's called AMPS, where it's a very bad pain condition. I did work with the nurses. I did work with the guidance counselors. I did work with the principal. I had requests for my daughter to do a hybrid schooling because she can't get up sometimes. She can't walk sometimes. I was told that Ms. Chanley denied my request totally. When I asked for a request to be in written form, I was told, no, we don't do that. I followed up again. I was told, let me see what she says. That was in May. I just got an email from the principal saying, nope, all you can do is a 504 in school or homeschool, which is not a solution for the entire year. I don't believe that a lot of the nurses and even guidance counselors know the district policies. Nobody can give me a clear answer when I ask questions. I wasn't directed anywhere to look up these policies. I was told no. I feel like I was being gaslit, but anyway. We did not have clear communication. My questions were not properly answered, and the principal had informed me that he referred to the case to other staff, and he assumed I had communication. Ms. Chanley, you are the top of the chain of command. As superintendent, the highest-ranking official in a school district, you are responsible for making decisions regarding policies, budgets, and overall district operations. You have failed in this instance because you should be aware of what is going on in the district. If you aren't aware of me or my daughter, in spite of my persistent advocacy, there's a real problem. I've been doing this for 2 years. Because of the school district's lack of assistance, even after obtaining a 504 that I had to fight for over and over, I had to take my daughter out of school and homeschool her because she's not getting a proper education. In fact, I'm one of the many parents who have been compelled to resort to homeschooling due to the poor leadership of Sherry Tranley. I was notified that you denied my request for a hybrid online and in-person solution. As a whole, we need to do better for these children who have illnesses that make it difficult to attend school. Full-year homeschool is not the answer. I urge the board to deny Sherry Tranley a raise and contact extension. Our district deserves better leadership. Thank you.
Good evening.
Can I go?
Yes.
Good evening. I'm Prakash Parab, 33 Dana Drive, Monroe Township. I've been watching performance and changes of superintendents in our school district for last 15 years. Rapid changes over superintendent is not good for students, teachers, parents, and overall community. We need a stable, good, excellent superintendent which is sustainable. In my opinion, I feel Dr. Chanley meets those criteria for her devotion to our school district for more than 20 years. She has been assistant principal, and superintendent of our school. I have observed her as acting superintendent, then as a student during the time of COVID. She makes sure the children come first. There were a lot of cries at this forum with parents who did not believe in COVID as a pandemic. They wanted no school closure. They wanted no masks in schools. I have been here, I have heard them. But she stood firm because children come first, and she imposed the policies of NJ Department of Education towards COVID very well. Following are the few more achievements of Dr. Chanley. She has improved school programs while streamlining the process, saving money while excellent programs for the students, increased number of AP courses offered, increased the sections of the AP Computer Science to allow more assist for the students. Our school district won the College Board Award this year for AP classes offered, something not done for many years. Last time we got this kind of award was in 2015. Made significant strides in increasing the opportunity for dual enrollment. Students are able to take more college-level courses in our high school now that our high school graduation requirement mirrors the district of South Brunswick, East Brunswick, and even Princeton. Implemented alternate pathways for graduation to allow students to fulfill gym requirement outside of the school, which frees up the time to take advanced classes. Monroe was the only district around us that did not offer alternate pathways before Chanley took over. Worked through the statewide, there was driver's shortage. She worked through the statewide driver shortage to ensure all routes have drivers and are providing buses for sports also. Simply saying we don't have drivers won't, she said it is not acceptable. The district went out to secure buses from outside the district to fulfill most of our needs. Saved money, this is very important. Streaming, unnecessary money has to be removed. We don't want middle-level management, we have to clear up. Saved money by eliminating redundancies. We saved more than $300,000 by not filling the coordinate's position in high school, and high school is functioning very well without it. Not to mention, she has great relationship with our township, and the leadership has a secured ROD grant of $4 million, okay? So with this, our schools are the best in sports, academia, music, and special education. I wish you all the best in continuation of your contract. I support it.
Thank you.
Maddie Ryback, Monroe Township. Dr. Chan, I know I have to direct my questions to the BOE president, but I'm just going to say that Dr. Chanley repeated quite a few times in her presentation tonight that things were reduced to save money. So if enough things were reduced to save money, I'm not quite sure why we have to go over the 2% cap. Perhaps you can explain that. But in addition, Dr. Chanley repeated quite a few times that administrators should administer, and teachers should stay in the classroom and teach. Well, as a retired teacher with an MS in education and 30 credits past my master's, I can tell you that me and many of my colleagues, and I'm sure plenty of teachers in Monroe Township, worked with administrators to do the best for all children. I think your philosophy needs to be reevaluated. I think teachers should be an integral part in working with administrators, not just be placed in classrooms. Thank you.
Good evening.
Hi, my name is Vanessa Force, and I live in Monroe Township. I am here because I think that you actually have a lot of nerve asking for a raise. I'm just going to be straight out. And, you know, you changed the election to April, which is going to increase our costs over 3 years, $300,000. Okay? It didn't have to happen. You forced the teachers and staff to get reduced health benefits and change their coverage. I understand you say that it's good coverage. Facts don't care about your feelings, okay? So you use your position for personal gain, and it was proven. You provide, you got your husband a position to get a stipend. You held a board meeting that was unnecessary, that to berate specific members that didn't attend. So you wasted resources without a quorum. And you know ahead of time, so members of the board actually read speeches that were written from their phones. So it wasn't that you didn't know, oh my goodness, you didn't know they weren't coming, or you were just making sure they weren't showing up. You had speeches. Wasted everybody's time, money to keep to have the meeting. Why, you keep talking that we're cutting. Why are you asking for a raise? When we need money. You keep talking about the money we need, and you want to raise for doing your job. You're doing your job. Thank you for doing your job. People don't get raises or extended contracts because they get their job done. You get your job done because that's what you're supposed to do. How do you teach kids that, yes, life isn't fair. You're supposed to do what you're supposed to do, and that's just how life works. You don't get to extend your contract or get more money just because you do what you're supposed to do. Yeah, you do. Okay? And, issues that should have been addressed are still not being addressed. The safety for Apple Garth School, that should be handled already. You're talking about all these other things. They're wonderful things that are getting done. We have for kids that excel in different things. What about the kids that are average kids? They're falling behind because you want to be able to say, I did this or I did that. What about the average kid that just needs to get through school and he's lagging behind or she's lagging behind just because she's not getting the basics or he's not getting the basics because you're taking and you're concentrating on these AP classes? And that's wonderful if we had the money and if all these other things weren't going on. And you say, no, there's no issues with the busing. That's been discussed about reduction in busing for after-school activities and things like that. So don't act like it's not a possibility. We have to go over the budget because the old budget's a bust, right? We need more money. So you've asked us to pay more money to have another election, an election in April, which was totally unnecessary. That's $300,000. Maybe if these other things weren't occurring at the same time, and she was doing her job, maybe it'd be something to consider. But I want all the board members to realize that people are going to know who voted to spend more of their money for her doing her job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Steve Ryback, Riviera Drive, Monroe. You negotiated a contract with the teachers. 2 weeks after you negotiated that contract, Karen Bierman, the vice president at the time, said, we can't afford it. Now, Dr. Chanley wants a raise and an extension. What about leading by example? Your teachers, your staff, the kids are the bedrock of this district, not the superintendent. And I think that if you're going to ask for a big raise, you should forego that raise and show your staff that you're aligned with them, you feel with them. They had to change their medical benefits to something that's not as good. They got just a very small amount of money, a raise, and you're making all this money. Lead by example, do the right thing.
Good evening, Pradeep Melam, Monroe Township. So I want to piggyback on our former BOE president. I came with something else, but I would like to piggyback on what he did in the recent past 2020 October 8th meeting of BOE of Monroe Township School District. We are in the middle of the pandemic. We are going to open the school before, and that is the last summer meeting, and we are going to open school on September. And we don't have any lack of direction or anything. Surprisingly, in that meeting, there was a agenda item that renewing or renegotiating the Dr. Alvich contract. We are in the middle of pandemic. There is no direction or clarity for the people, teacher, staff, and everybody. And that is the first agenda item we took place on September 2020. Thank you for your due diligence. And I asked, I was very vocal. I don't want any renegotiations in the middle of the contract. So I asked a straight question. What is the material change that triggered this renegotiation or renewal of Dr. Alvich thing? There's no answer. It's a personal issue. We don't need to tell you about that. But this board has told us a month ahead or more than a month ahead that there is a renewal of or renegotiation of superintendent, and the material change is her doctorate. And at that time, Dr. Alvich did not have any performance evaluation. But Dr. Chanley went through twice, one as an intern, one as a full-time. And at that time, there is no teacher's contract in the place. But you guys renewed Dr. Alvich contract with a higher pay. But now we have a teacher's contract in place. So that's, again, even at that time I clearly mentioned, I'm not going to the merits and demerits of Dr. Alvich. I'm going through the process that you have taken. I'm going to the timing you have taken. So again, that's a blunder. At least we are going in the lane of the right choice, and we are not deviating any illegalities. I have one more comment. So everybody is saying like, she is the topmost paid superintendent, No. Yeah, she might be topmost superintendent in the current district or in this district. But when you compare with apples to apples like East Brunswick, South Brunswick, Old Bridge, so every time you guys come up here and then say, that school is doing this school is doing this, that is employed this one, this employed this one. So you compare the superintendent salaries. East Brunswick is $275K, South Brunswick $269K, Old Bridge is $238K. Now you do your math. Thank you. And I firmly appreciate this board to take up, like, you are the fiduciary control, and we are the people, we are asking so many questions. So go with your vote and whatever you are thinking. But I strongly suggest to vote yes, because Dr. Chanley stood up for so much of the personal attacks. And one judge allowed her to sue a civilian with torturous interference. Go and read that. So that's all. Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm Sarah Aziz, and I live in Monroe Township. With our school budget so tight, it is unconscionable that the board plans to approve a new contract with Cherry Chanley that will give her a raise to $246,000 by the year 2028. Ms. Chanley has had multiple ethics complaints filed against her, and as far as I know, none of these complaints have been dismissed in their entirety. Now Ms. Chanley is demanding a raise because after 20 years of enrolling in multiple doctoral programs at taxpayer expense, she has finally achieved the doctorate. Yet the district refuses to release a copy of her diploma. Furthermore, although her full dissertation is not yet public, the abstract of her dissertation is public. In this abstract, Cherry Chanley describes herself as previously a quote-unquote dictator of a middle school. This raises questions as to whether the board thinks dictatorship is an acceptable leadership style for a superintendent. On April 24th, 2023, Ms. Chanley filed a lawsuit against me a week before I was scheduled to testify against her before an administrative law judge in a case in which she has been accused of abusing the tuition reimbursement policy. Chanley alleged that I quote-unquote invaded her privacy by reporting that she took a taxpayer-funded trip to Disney World. In court documents, Chanley described this trip herself as a quote-unquote family vacation, although she was purportedly there to attend a professional development opportunity that was board approved. Chanley also charged me with quote-unquote torturous interference of her contract with the Monroe BOE, claiming that it was my fault that the county superintendent, Kyle Anderson, refused to recommend her for the acting superintendent position in the fall of 2021. In her lawsuit, Chanley provided no evidence at all to substantiate any of these allegations. On August 25th, the judge dismissed all these charges against me. However, there was one count of tortious interference he allowed to proceed. It was Chanley's allegation that I was making it difficult, if not impossible, for her to achieve a doctorate. However, after Ms. Chanley allegedly achieved this doctorate and was unable to produce evidence that I played any role in delaying this achievement, she tried to withdraw from the lawsuit. But I did not permit her to withdraw without filing the evidence that proves my innocence. This evidence was filed with the court on November 9th and includes copies of her official transcripts and communications with Rowan University that was released by the Office of Administrative Law in an OPRA request. On December 4th, this case against me was dismissed in its entirety. As a public official, in a highly visible position, the public has a right to comment and criticize the job performance of a superintendent. Moreover, such public participation is protected by the law because it is essential to the functioning of a democratic society. After filing this lawsuit, Chanley failed to intimidate me, and I testified against her anyway. She failed to silence me or limit my First Amendment rights, and she wasted a ton of money in litigation against me in a frivolous lawsuit that has been dismissed. Perhaps now she wants a raise to pay off the legal fees that she incurred in this baseless lawsuit against me. Why is the board approving this raise without requiring Chanley to release her diploma? Other municipalities have released diplomas in response to OPRA request. Why not Monroe? Why doesn't the board require Chanley to provide evidence that she underwent professional development in Orlando before paying for her airfare to Disney World? Where is the accountability and transparency?
Thank you for your comments.
So you have no explanation as to why you're not responding to the OPRA request about her diploma?
No, thank you for your comments.
Or why you're not requiring her to prove that she attended professional development in Florida? No explanation to why these OPRA requests are denied.
Did you go to Disney?
No, I did not go to Disney.
Why not? Stop. Went. It's nice.
All right, thank you.
And just for clarification, the lawsuit that Mrs. Z's referenced was the request for dismissal was made by Dr. Chanley. That was not made by the judge. So Dr. Chanley filed a motion to dismiss after she did get her doctoral degree. And this board was well aware, made very well aware in closed session discussions exactly what was being done to her, who and what actions were being taken at her college that were completely inappropriate and just no words for them. Excuse me, you're out of order. Mr. Fabiano, you are out of order.
We have a gentleman at the podium.
Yes. Good evening, Mr. Poi.
Good evening, Doug Poi, Monroe Township. I do need clarification. Is this the only public session we will have before you go on with the rest of the agenda?
Yes.
Okay. Regarding the topic under discussion, Dr. Chanley's contract, I'm a bit confused as to why we actually have a public hearing on this matter. When we know that what the public has to say will largely be ignored. You have already negotiated the contract. You have already received approval from the acting county superintendent. So how will public input affect your actions? Why is the board negotiating a new contract when her current contract runs through July 2025, which to me seems like a reasonable length of time to allow future boards to assess the effectiveness of Dr. Chanley's leadership? Why does the revised contract provide for a salary increase of $15,500, which prorates to $7,750 for the remainder of this fiscal year? This is an increase of 7.6%. An increase of 7.6% when our teachers had a much lower average increase. Additionally, the increase for the 24-25 year is $17,885 over the current contract. This is an increase of 8.6%. If this increase is based on Dr. Chanley's having received her doctorate, why are such large increases when a teacher doing the same, that is, achieving a doctorate, only sees an increase of $1,500. You've spoken about saving money. I would like to remind the members of the board, as well as the public, that Dr. Chanley placed a very competent and effective business administrator on suspension and directed a lengthy investigation of his work, which resulted in finding no major inappropriate actions. An administrator who saved the district millions of dollars through tough negotiations with the district's healthcare provider, lower bond rates, and the first shared services agreements with the municipal government. An administrator who directed the business office and which received no recommendations for improvement in its operation for multiple years under an independent auditor. When principal of the middle school, she misled parents and students for multiple years by allowing herself to be portrayed as having a doctorate degree, a degree which was only achieved in the fall of this year. I seriously question, why is there a need to extend her contract at this time? Thank you.
Thank you.
Peter Piro, Monroe Township. I just have a couple questions. You talk about fiscal responsibility all the time, Ms. Skirby. If you wanted to give Dr. Shanley a raise when she got her doctorate, it should have been in the existing contract. If you had it in the contract that if she achieves her doctorate, she's entitled, just like if a teacher gets their master's or gets their doctorate. That's fine. But I find it very funny how you've told the public that you had to move the election to April. Now it's going to cost us taxpayers $300 grand. She has 18 months left on a contract that we're going to reopen tonight and give her a nice big fat raise for what? Nobody ever gets their contract open. I've never seen anybody get a contract open. Actually, Ms. Skirby, when they talked about raising Dr. Alvick's contract, you came here and made all these comments about it, about how it was wrong. I think, personally, my personal opinion is, as you post on Facebook at most times, this is just friends through it all. That's all it is.
And I do want to make a comment on one of the points that you made. And Mr. Gagliardi would know this too, as you were part of the negotiations for Dr. Chanley's first contract. The first contract did have in there a dollar amount for a payment to Dr. Chanley should she get her doctoral degree. I was told by the county superintendent, Kyle Anderson, that that was not acceptable to be in there, that she did not have her doctorate degree, and it could not be part of the initial contract. That when she did obtain a doctoral degree, that we would have to renegotiate the contract at such time to add it in.
Well, I'm not sure, but I don't understand. If Mr. Gagliardi's our attorney, and he told you that Michelle Scott couldn't vote, yet Carl Anderson, the county superintendent, said she can vote, I'm confused. What do we need an attorney for then? Like,
I'm telling you, her first contract was,
Mr. Gagliardi?
her first contract was submitted to the county, and the
Okay.
county told us we had to take that out. You asked why we
Did you
didn't
ask the
simply
lawyer?
add it. Yes, of course we asked an attorney.
Do you want me to comment?
Yes, please.
So there's nothing in statute or code that prohibits the board from having that in the contract.
Exactly.
So
I know that. I know the law.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Me too.
So?
So the county superintendent, in his discretion, said he did not agree that it belongs in the contract, that if you want to put it in the future, you can add it in the future. So the board was obligated to follow that. Other county superintendents might permit it. I can't answer that question. He exercised his discretion and did so. As far as Ms. Scott voting, I don't want to deal with that all over again, but as I explained at the last meeting, the county superintendent did not countermand my recommendation as to what the statute said. The board attorney for Jamesburg and I had a respectful disagreement. He said, after the board failed to exercise its authority within the 65 days permitted by statute to fill the vacancy, how the vacancy is filled is up to him. His viewpoint, which he described to the board president and to me separately, was that the board would know better who, in so many words, it would get along with rather than he would, and he would let the majority rule, and that the majority could include Ms. Scott. He did not say that the board should have let her vote within the 65 days. If he decided to flip a coin, play rock, paper, scissors, pull a name out of a hat, some of which have actually been done, by the way, that's how the vacancy would be filled. So he and I did not have a disagreement about whether or not she should vote within the first 65 days. He did not weigh in during that period of time.
Okay, but my question is, under the law, could that have been put in her original contract?
So
by law?
The law is silent on that issue. The board put it in the draft, and the county superintendent took it out.
But the board could have insisted it was in there.
No,
They could've
we don't
went to
have the
their
power to
legal-
override the county
Well,
superintendent.
Well, you did,
We-
'cause didn't the county superintendent deny her first contract and you hired her anyway?
No.
No, that's.
No, that is not what happened.
The board can't vote to approve the contract until the county superintendent approves it.
Okay.
Thank you for your comments.
I have a comment, Ms. Kirby? If
No,
nobody,
we're in the middle of the public hearing.
yeah, if nobody does have anything, I have a comment, please, after.
We'll move to that.
Right.
All right, seeing nobody else wishing to speak, we will close the public hearing for the renegotiated employment contract for the superintendent of schools. At this point, there is a resolution that is on our agenda under number 9 after the public hearing. I would like to call for a motion to approve
Motion.
the superintendent's contract as written and the resolution on our agenda.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, does anybody have any questions or comments?
I do.
Mr. Payne?
Volunteering as a member of this distinguished governing body is a passion for me because our responsibilities include ensuring every graduate of our high school is prepared for their successful futures, post-educational opportunities, or the ability to be self-supporting. While I appreciate and support the work of Dr. Chanley, I believe at this time our focus should be on ensuring the successes of all of our students and providing our staff with the tools, including professional learning, as needed. I support addressing the contract in the spring after the district has the opportunity to analyze the 2024 state test results also. I thank Dr. Chanley for her presentation tonight and all she's done for the district. I still think we need to provide our staff with the tools, including professional learning, more as needed. I support addressing it in the spring, as I said before, and I thank her and her team for their dedication for the students of this community.
Anybody else have anything to say? All right, seeing none, Ms. Allen, may we have a roll call on the
Mrs. Kirby,
superintendent's contract? Ms.
can I
Bora, is
comment,
that you?
please?
Yes.
Yes, that is me. I just wanted to quickly say a few words here, and I hope I'm audible remotely. I apologize I couldn't be present today in person for this important meeting. Hearing all the public's comments, one thing that stood out tonight is the perception of a raise that's being given to Dr. Chanley. I want to, and hearing Mrs. DePayne's comment, I feel like I want to add a little more to this conversation. Legally, we are bound to give Dr. Chanley the money we owe her for her doctorate and her 20-year longevity. And for that,
Excuse me, Mr. Fabiano, if you cannot be quiet, you're out of order. I'm going to ask you to please leave. Go ahead, Ms. Bora. Sorry about that.
So, and I'll repeat what I just said. Legally, we are bound to open the contract to address the compensation for Dr. Chanley's doctorate degree and her longevity of 20 years. The conversation that this board had internally about the timing of the extension, and I want to give a little bit of background, even though you've spoken to it, Mrs. Kirby. If we just open this contract right now to address those compensations and do not address the renewal, next year in 2024, June, which is exactly a year before her contract ends, we would need to start the discussion of the renewal again. That is what boards are typically supposed to do. Contract terms are, for superintendents, are renegotiated 12 to 18 months in advance of expiration so that the superintendent is given the opportunity to look for jobs elsewhere if the board does not wish to renew their contract. So if we were to just give her the compensation for her doctorate and longevity today and then open this up again for renewal in June, we would be doing the same exact process twice in almost 7 to 8 months. Given that we have had enough proof of the work done administratively to our student success, we had enough proof, at least board members like me who've been on the board for 2 years, to consider the renewal in the same process rather than opening it up again in 7 months. Public opinion is important. This is also a legal process to take public opinion before a contract renewal. I do also want to emphasize that public opinion doesn't only come to us through this public forum. Board members like me are constantly getting public input, good and bad, for all aspects about the school district, and we are taking it into consideration constantly and not just during the board meeting when people come to the public forum. I want to just put this out before we go into vote on this contract, a very important contract. Monroe School District needs stability and continuity above all else at this point for student success. Thank you for the time, Madam President.
I have a comment also in relation to Ms. Bora's comment.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Alvarez.
Okay, a superintendent is not a central office administrator, and the doctoral increase does not apply to her because her contract is not under the school administrator general contract, and she is not with the Administrators Association. So we shouldn't be using that as a reason to be opening up the contract at this time. That's all.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else? All right, Ms. Allen, may we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Mr. Tufano?
Yes.
Ms. Belko?
Yes.
Mr. Gorham?
Yes.
Ms. Alvarez?
No.
Ms. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. DePayne?
No.
Ms. Fabiano?
Abstain.
Ms. Ratner?
Recuse, abstain.
Ms. Bora?
Yes.
Ms. Skirby?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Congratulations, Dr. Chandler. Excuse me, we will have order here in our meeting. Thank you.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for coming. Why is Ed not shutting these people off? Is that his job to order here? No? Then how come we don't have a copy? We should have a copy.
Can we do committee reports? Since there was only one committee, I'm happy to do it in
Yes.
2 minutes.
The next item on our agenda is our committee reports. If we could please have silence in our audience, thank you. We still have business to conduct. Are any committee wishing to do a report?
Yes, I have a report.
Okay, Ms. Belko?
The Finance Committee met on November 29th via WebEx, and it was a very short meeting. We had reviewed the October invoice totals for the attorney fees, which were $10,149.93. We also reviewed the bill list, which is up for a vote, item B, under the Business Administrator's report this evening. And the total of the bills for the month, excuse me one second, are $6,944,941.56, with an addendum to the bill list of $7,086,102.43. Though that is item B under the Business Administrator's report. We had a short report about our budget audit, about our audit. The auditors were in the central office and reviewed some documents. The budget is moving along. Budget defense rounds were held, and we're moving to that next step in the budget process. And Ms. Allen updated the committee. There was no no major discussion. The meeting ended in about 15 minutes. There was no curriculum committee meeting, so there is no curriculum committee report. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Belko? Seeing none, are there any other committees that?
I would like to say something if possible.
Sure. Your
The
committee
policy
report?
committee meeting didn't meet this month, but I did a little research based on some of the public's comments related to 0143 at the last meeting. So some of our surrounding towns like Princeton, Cranberry, Spotswood, Helmetta, Milltown, they all have similar send receive relationships. And they also have the same bylaw, 0143, and all of them don't have a line in there regarding whether or not the sending district can or cannot vote. So I know tonight that policy is on the agenda for second reading, and all we're doing is removing that last line. We're not changing it in any other way. I just wanted to clarify that for the public.
Thank you, Carmen.
You're welcome.
All right. The next item on our agenda is our public forum for agenda items only. Is there anybody wishing to address the public?
Yes.
No. Not this one. I'm sorry.
At the end. At the end.
Once again, Doug Poy, Monroe Township. Regarding board action item E, and specifically policy 0143 that Ms. Alvarez just spoke of, the board's attorney, in a letter to the president of the board, advised her that the board needed to suspend policy 0143 prior to any vote on appointing a replacement for the resigned board member, since that policy indicated that the Jamesburg rep was not entitled to vote on that matter. But in its October meeting, when Ms. Skirby asked the attorney to review the process of how the replacement would be made, the attorney did not mention his prior advice to vote on suspending the policy. I watched the video carefully to see whether or not he included that admonition. He did not. There was no vote held to suspend the policy. Yet the vote to appoint Mr. Gorman as the replacement went ahead and was taken. I don't know Mr. Gorman, so any of the remarks I'm making about the policy has nothing to do with him personally. But it raises the question of why we have an attorney when you, on occasion, choose not to follow his advice. In fact, why is this the only board which needs an attorney to be present at every monthly meeting when this was not the past practice? Could the money that's being spent on the attorney being at these monthly board meetings be spent on other items in the district? Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. I don't recall a letter in which you said that.
Yeah,
Mr. Gagliardi?
well, first of all, if I wrote a letter to the board giving legal advice, I wouldn't talk about it publicly without my client's permission. But I wrote no such letter, and I think probably the confusion is caused by the fact, and I know I've said this several times, that it was the attorney for Jamesburg who thought that the policy was improper and should not be followed. My advice on the issue has been consistent. And I know this is extraordinarily confusing for the public, so I apologize for that, but I'm going to repeat again that the board was not acting under either that policy or under its statutory authority when it voted to fill the vacant seat and Ms. Scott was permitted to vote. It was acting at the direction of the county superintendent because the board's authority under the statute had expired after 65 days. And he said simply, majority rules, I want you to pick someone that the majority thinks he can get along with and thinks can be productive. So I consider the issue of whether or not the sending district has the authority to vote unresolved. The statute is not clear. There was no case squarely on point. Everyone at our firm who was consulted did not believe that the sending district's participation under the segment of the statute that allows the sending rep to vote on governance issues involves filling a vacant seat. It is our understanding and remains our understanding that governance issues involves filling board offices, for example. Nonetheless, unless and until the statute is resolved or a case comes out, it is our belief that the policy should be followed, has been followed since I've been the attorney here, and was followed properly in this instance. And the vote Ms. Scott took was separate and apart from that policy and the statute which governs that policy. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you.
One last thing.
Yeah.
If the board decides it doesn't want me here for every meeting, I'll be fine.
No, and I do believe that the board in the past did not always have an attorney present, and that became an issue of why the attorney wasn't present. And there was business that could not be conducted, and there were things that were not conducted correctly, and it was always blamed that, well, the board attorney was not here. When this board took our seats, it became apparent that the best practice should be to have a board attorney at board meetings, and I do believe most Board of Educations do have an attorney present, as our town council does as well, at every single meeting. Good evening.
Okay. Peter Pirro, Monroe Township. I have a question. I was just going over some things under the professional development in the budget. I think that Stephen Barandika is the athletic director. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I see that there is a 76th annual meeting and conference for educational trainers. Educational trainers. I went on the website. It's for people that are educational trainers. I see that Nate Cogdale, the district, spent him $1,150 to send him to the Foxwoods Resort for the conference in Connecticut. Now I see also on there that Stephen, the athletic director, not trainer, is also going to an athletic trainers conference. I went on their website, and the conference has to do with athletic training, not directors. I read everything they do, so I don't understand if he's our director of athletics and not the athletic trainer, why we would send him to a conference in Connecticut at a $1,000 cost to the taxpayer when he should be here them days supervising the athletics going on in January. We have wrestling, we have basketball, there's all kinds of things. And I went on this website when I saw this today, and I read what they do there, and it has nothing to do with being it specifically says it's athletic trainers. So I question spending, like, we want to be fiscally responsible, yet we're spending thousands of dollars to send people out of state. And also, sending Nate is great, but now you're paying a substitute teacher 4 days at $200 a day. So we're spending money for conferences and meetings. Like, I'm just a little confused by that. If you're the director, you're the athletic director. If you're the trainer, you're the trainer. So maybe you guys could look into that and see, maybe it's a mistake, I don't know. But I think we need to be fiscally responsible.
Dr. Chanley, would you like to address that?
So I appreciate your comment. So we have many of our administrative staff, whether it be directors or supervisors, that maintain certifications and credentials. And as part of the contract, we allow them to participate in various different conferences. And if Dr. Lehman would like to continue once I'm done, I'd be happy to, because I know that we're on the same page. I appreciate, you're a taxpayer, I appreciate your question. So basically what I'm trying to say is that we have when we have opportunities, when the staff needs to take the opportunity for various different certifications, for various different reasons. It falls often with nurses, it falls a lot with athletic trainer. Our athletic director, I have to tell you, I'm thrilled that he happens to be an athletic trainer because he can serve in that role in that capacity, and the last thing we would want him to do is not have the continued certification. So that is why, one of the reasons why we do approve that. I don't know if Dr. Lehman would like to add to that, but it's a good question.
So specifically to athletic trainers, speech pathologists, some of our nurses, medical professionals, OT, they are required to maintain CCUs, credits to maintain their certifications. So in this case, it happens to be at Foxwoods. Previous years, it's up in Boston. This is a location that athletic trainers can get their credits to maintain their certification. Specifically with Mr. Barandica, we are having him maintain that certification so we can maintain his training ability if we ever need him in that capacity. And that's certainly an asset that doesn't always come into play. So it's a unique characteristic that he has. And yeah, that's why he's going to maintain that certification and attend that training.
Okay, but we also have another female athletic trainer, correct?
We have 3 trainers, too. We have 2 trainers, that's correct.
We have 2 trainers. We also have...
But she's not going to this conference.
She doesn't need this course at this time. These courses at this time to maintain her certificate. She attends or participates in training in other locations and in other ways to maintain her certificate.
I just think it's like in a tight budget, and we hire somebody. If you hire Mr. Gagliardi to be the attorney, and he used to be a school superintendent or a doctor or a police officer before he was an attorney. When he's working as a superintendent or police officer, whatever, he doesn't leave. That job doesn't pay for him to keep up his status in his previous position. Like, my opinion is that he's the director of athletics now, and that's his job. He's the athletics director. The athletics trainers are also within the union. He's not in the teachers' union. Like, my thing is, my point is basically that we steer in the direction of whatever your job is, that's where you go. And if your job requires you to do something to keep up your status in case he leaves here to go to be a trainer somewhere else, then my opinion is he should pay for it. You're paying my taxpayer money to send the athletic director, why we have major sports going on, to an athletic trainer seminar. I read the whole seminar today, and it says right in it, it has nothing to do with that athletic director. So if the gentleman, and I heard he's doing a good job, is here to be our athletic director, then if you're spending $1,000 of my taxpayer money to keep up his certification, that's not his job or his responsibility. Am I right? Am I wrong?
No.
I mean, that's my point, is that I have no problem this guy going wherever he wants, but it should be at his expense. He's keeping up his certificate.
I would say.
If I keep up my school security certificate, I don't come back to Monroe and say, pay for it. I pay for it myself.
Thank you for your comments. And I think Dr. Lehman explained it perfectly. It is a benefit to this district. We know from our, excuse me, that is not accurate. We've seen it here it's come through finance, it's come through curriculum, contracts to outsource trainers. This is an added benefit to our district. If he has the certification to do that, in the event that we are down a trainer at an event, it's my understanding that this would allow him to step in to be the trainer. We are required to have trainers at our sporting events. And we have had situations where we did not have the proper amount of trainers at an event that causes events to be canceled if we can't get a trainer. Having him on staff with that extra certification puts us in a much better opportunity, from what I'm hearing, when we have that, if we have that circumstance. I'm sorry, your time is over. Your time is over. You're out of order. Your time has ended. Thank you. Have a good evening. Is there anybody else wishing to address the board? Seeing none, we will close the public forum. The next item on the agenda is the Assistant Superintendent's Report. Dr. Lehman?
Sure. We are entering, and we had a great student board member report, so some of these are little highlights that they've already touched on, but we're entering our winter concert series. It's winter concert season. I've been sending the concert agenda to our board members, but we also put it out on social media. So next week, we have a big week specifically. So on the 11th, we have the middle school winter chorus concert. On the 12th, we have the Brookside Elementary winter concert. On the 13th, we have the MTHS winter chorus concert. And the 14th, we have the Applegarth winter concert. So when I say we're starting the concert season, we are starting the concert season. It actually trickles all the way through January 18th. So keep an eye on our social media. We will keep updating the community, and you're more than welcome to attend any of these events. Most of them are either at the middle school Performing Arts Center or our Performing Arts Center here at the high school. And one other event I wanted to just touch on real quickly was last night I was able to attend the Unified Winter Fest, or Winter Festival. It was outstanding. It was here at the high school. It's a tremendous event. It's an annual event that we started several years ago. Mr. Acaro, the Unified staff, our Unified students at the high school, district-wide, all of our Unified students and our PALs participated in it. We had over 150 students registered to attend. I didn't get a head count as to actually how many students came, but there were a lot. There was a special appearance from Olaf, from the Frozen movie. The kids were going crazy. Pictures were taken. They had lots of events, lots of activities, everything from snowball tosses to they decorated winter-themed bags. They made marshmallow snowflakes. And it was a really nice collaborative activity between all the students throughout the district. It was great. It was pre-K. We had our pre-K students all the way up through, like I said, high school students volunteered and participated in the event. So it's an outstanding event, and thank you to the staff and students that participated. And again, that was last night. It was from 6 to 7:30 here at the high school. It was just awesome. And that's my report.
Does anybody have any questions for Dr. Lehman? All right, the next item on our agenda is the superintendent's report. Dr. Chanley?
Thank you very much, Ms. Skirby. This will be very short because you heard enough of me this evening. I thank you very much once again for your patience during my presentation, which I did think was valuable to speak directly to our community. Two activities that, there are numerous activities, but two that I wanted to highlight. We had holidays that happened while we were not physically in school. One of them was Diwali, the other one was Veterans Day. And as our board member, our student board member did discuss, there were various different activities that went on during American Education Week. I was personally invited by Ms. Papandrea to go to her, to go watch her classroom. We had veterans that came from our community. And there was a question-answer format, but most importantly, there was a PowerPoint that was created, she did share, by the children, and they are little ones, so that is a big deal. It was created by them, and they did a great job. Every different section or segment of the armed services was explained, described with examples and pictures of what they created, and then a personalized song, which made sense. It went with whatever it might be, like Blue Seas, you know, for the Navy, and they sang. So it was near and dear to my heart, and I truly enjoyed myself, so I wanted to comment. And then I was invited, this would be the second year in a row, with Ms. Skirby to attend a Suad Diwali, which I will just sum it up by saying it was about giving back. They raised over 26,000 pounds of food that was given to food pantries in both Monroe and Jamesburg, and it's all about coming out of the darkness and bringing the light. And it's so important during the difficult times that we have in our country and in many countries, being in the light and being in the positive. So I did want to comment on that before I go into my report. We only have one retirement, and that retirement is Jolanta Cruciel. She currently is a custodian in Monroe Township Middle School. I want to wish her well, as I always say. The Falcons have to fly, and she gets to fly, and I don't know if she'll be going to warmer weather, because we finally have some cold weather out there. So on that note, I am going to go into my recommendations. Under 10-member board vote, it is recommended the board approve the attached personnel items A through L.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second. Are there any questions? Ms. Fabiano?
I'm seeing three different percentages on there. I've only seen 17% on the agenda, so I see 20%, 17, and 16.6. Can you just clarify the difference
Absolutely.
between those?
So when it is part of a teacher just picking up an extra class, it's automatically 17 because that's how the numbers work. 20% is when the caseload is divided Usually you'll see that for a school counselor, or you'll see it for a case manager in the area of, let's say, an LDTC or a school psychologist, so that's 20%. When we see different percentages, sometimes they're taking on an extra class, but it may not be every day, so then the calculation is done through through Ms. Allen, and that is why you see different calculations. You're welcome.
Ms. Reitner?
Yeah, I just had two questions. I noticed that there is a teacher that's taking an intermittent leave, and this isn't necessarily strictly for this teacher, but when there is a teacher with an intermittent leave, is there a long-term substitute for the days when that teacher is absent, or is that class getting different substitutes?
So that absolutely depends upon the situation of each individual teacher. So as you know, by law, we are required, when they have the appropriate documentation, to approve an intermittent leave. Depending upon the building and depending upon the class, the principal and/or vice principal and supervisors work collaboratively to try, as you said, to get the same substitute that would then be able to take over so the children don't miss any education. Sometimes it is an additional person who can be paid, not necessarily 70%, but perhaps, I'm just giving you different air, I'm not saying anything specifically about this one, perhaps it could be an instructional rate for the particular period. It all depends upon the needs of whatever that leave is.
Okay. And then just my second question. I noticed on AA that we are approving some coaches, but some of the sports, I know we recognize some of them, soccer, field hockey, and cross country. Is that retroactive for this year, or is that already being put in place for next year? Unless I was looking at the wrong thing, letter AA.
No. AA, yes. Page 15.
Oh, was it 9 member?
It is 9.
Sorry, that was
I'll answer that during
okay,
9
sorry.
9 member, yeah.
Anybody else? All right, may we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Mr. Tofano?
Yes.
Ms. Fabiano?
Yes.
Ms. Ratner?
Yes.
Ms. Alvarez?
Yes.
Ms. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. DePayne?
Yes.
Ms. Belko?
Yes.
Mr. Gorham?
Yes.
Ms. Bora?
Yes.
And Ms. Skirby?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Under the 9-member vote, it is recommended the board approve the attached personnel items M through AI.
Is there a
Motion.
to?
Second.
Okay, are there any questions?
I have a question.
I have a question. I do. I have a question.
One moment, Carmen.
Oh.
Dr. Chanley is, I think, getting clarification from Mr. Barandico on Ms. Ratner's question.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Oh, of course. No, and I wanted to just say, I appreciate we have a lot of our administrators do remain, which helps answer the appropriate questions and make sure that I give the correct information, so I want to thank Mr. Barandica. So we are not sure if it was just a clerical error, but we did confirm that they were left off of the recommendation prior, and I wanted to make sure that that was the particular reason, because we also had some conversations regarding different steps for the middle school coaches versus the high school coaches, so I wanted to make sure I gave you the correct answer. Okay. Thank you.
Ms. Alvarez, did you have a question?
Yes, I know Ms. Fabiano asked about the percentages, and I don't think you answered about the 16.6, and on the 9-member vote, it's listed under for 6 guidance counselors are getting an additional 16.6 for a resignation replacement. I went on the website today, but I didn't see any job posting for the guidance counselors. How does that 16.6% work out, and when will we see a job posting? Because I know they already have very high caseloads.
So that was, this is middle school, if I'm recalling the conversation, the posting that is correct, the posting had already come out. So what happened was, when we started to look at the positions, they have actually lower caseloads than they've had because our numbers have gone down drastically in the middle school. So they were working, the principal was working with an opportunity with Ms. Christie to see if we could get in another mental health professional rather than just a school counselor. Some school counselors do have that certification, and it was decided based upon our conversations with the MTEA that we would go ahead and, because we didn't have anybody apply, because at the time, I'm just trying to remember because this was a couple of months ago, we were going to leave that and not replace it and we were going to replace it with a different position, with someone that maybe had the clinical certification, and then it was decided that we would go ahead and for caseload purposes, they wanted to take on the extra caseloads because they've been working with the children, so now we wanted to compensate them. The reason why it's 0.6, to be honest with you, is based upon how many counselors there were that divided it. So mathematically, I'm going to assume it is correct because we go through Ms. Allen, but I'm not sure why it's 0.6 this time. I wouldn't have an affirmative answer about the 0.6.
Equals 99.6.
Oh, it's 99.6. Thank you. They did it already, so it's 99.6.
Okay, thank you for that.
Does anybody else have any questions? All right, seeing none, may we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Ms. DePayne?
Yes.
Ms. Alvarez?
Yes?
Mr. Gorham?
Yes.
Ms. Belko?
Yes.
Mr. Tufano?
Yes.
Ms. Fabiano?
Yes.
Ms. Ratner?
Yes, recuse on AE.
Okay. Ms. Bora?
Yes.
Ms. Skirby?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Under board action, 10-member vote, it is recommended the board approve the attached board action items A through K.
Is there a motion?
Motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second. Is there any questions for Dr. Chanley? Ms. Ratner?
Yep, just one. For the field trips, I know most of them have the description. For 77 to 81, can you just clarify what trips those are for? It looks like they're all the same teacher, so I'm guessing it's the same subject.
Dr. Lehman is going to respond.
I'm pulling it up again. Which trip is it?
It's 77, 78, 79, 80, and 81.
Those are the robotics team. That's for
Okay.
the robotics team. So they're actually competing. Those are field trip approvals for them to go to a competition, and most of those days are Saturdays.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Are there any other questions? All right, may we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Ms. Belko?
Yes.
Ms. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Alvarez?
Yes?
Mr. Gorham?
Yes.
Ms. Ratner?
Yes.
Ms. DePayne?
Yes.
Ms. Fabiano?
Yes.
Mr. Tufano?
Yes.
Ms. Bora?
Yes.
Ms. Skirby?
Yes.
Yes, motion passes.
Thank you.
Under board action for a 9-member vote, it is recommended the board approve the attached board action items L through R.
Motion.
Second.
All right, are there any questions for Dr. Chanley? All right, may we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Ms. Alvarez?
Yes?
Ms. DePayne?
Yes.
Mr. Tufano?
Yes.
Ms. Ratner?
Yes, recuse on letter M for Mr. Ratner.
Mr. Gorham?
Yes.
Ms. Belko?
Yes.
Ms. Fabiano?
Yes.
Ms. Bora?
Yes.
Ms. Skirby?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
That now concludes my report, and I would like to just wish everyone a happy and healthy holiday season. Hanukkah begins tomorrow evening, and then, of course, we have the holiday of Christmas and New Year's. Since we will not be here again, I want to wish everyone a happy and healthy time, and I want to also thank the board for the opportunity to continue in service to the Monroe Township students. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is our business administrator's report.
It is recommended that board action items A through D be approved by consent roll call under a 10-member vote.
Motion.
Second.
All right, are there any questions for Ms. Allen? All right, seeing none, may we please have a roll call?
Yes. Ms. Fabiano?
Yes.
Ms. Belko?
Yes.
Ms. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Gorham?
Yes.
Ms. Alvarez?
Yes?
Ms. DePayne?
Yes, but abstain where it pertains to a reimbursement for me for a convention.
Okay. Mr. Tufano?
Yes.
Ms. Ratner?
Yes, recuse on the bill list for David Rubin, and recuse on the addendum for Mr. Ratner, Dr. Chanley, and Mr. Snyder.
Okay. Ms. Bora?
Yes.
Ms. Skirby?
Yes.
Motion passes. Okay. It is recommended the board action items E through G be approved by consent roll call under a 9-member vote.
Motion.
Second?
All right, are there any questions for Ms. Allen? All right, may we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Ms. Belko?
Yes.
Ms. Ratner?
Yes.
Ms. Fabiano?
Yes.
Ms. Alvarez?
Yes?
Ms. DePayne?
Yes.
Mr. Tufano?
Yes.
Mr. Gorham?
Yes.
Ms. Bora?
Yes.
Ms. Skirby?
Yes.
Motion passes. That concludes my report.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the board president's report. A short little report. We are currently still working through the shared services agreement with the township. We will be meeting again hopefully by the end of this month, and we should have an agreement for the board to vote on at the January meeting. As soon as the agreement is finalized, as I told the board previously, I will forward that to the board members. I want to wish everyone a very happy and healthy holiday season. I had the great pleasure of attending with Dr. Chanley the concluding event for the Siwa Diwali last week, and it truly is a blessing to see how many of our young students partake in the selfless act of collecting over 26,000 pounds of food to be donated to 3 local pantries. This is what the season is about. It's about spreading goodness and love, and like you said, coming out from darkness, finding the light, and spreading that. And it was really heartwarming to see our students in our district standing up, young students, explaining why they went door to door, some of them, asking their neighbors for food, and thanking them for the opportunity to help other people that they don't even know. So it was very moving to hear all of the children speak at that event, and I just think it was wonderful. As board members, we should reflect on the important role we have played this year to shape the future of all of our students. All of our efforts collectively help create a school community where every child can feel confident inside of themselves that they can be successful as they want to be. Happy holidays to everyone, and let's make the new year a great one with much success and happiness spread throughout our school community. Thank you. That's my report. The next item on our agenda is other board business. Does anyone have any business before the board?
I have something.
Mr. Payne.
It was an honor for me to attend the Rossmore Music Association presented Monroe Township High School vocal students this past Sunday, December 3rd. It was an awful rainy day, but when you walked in there and listened to those students, the sun came out. I mean, I was in awe. A couple of the soloists had me in tears, and it was a wonderful program, and I just think, who said that? The choral director, Lindsay Silva, said to the people that were there that day, don't forget, we'll be, and Dr. Lehman just said it, 12, 13 at 7 o'clock at the high school for the high school. And then I'm going to pass them around. I bought a brochure for everybody. And in there are students' names of who participated that day and what they sang, because I know Linda Bazowski is the president of this association at Rossmore, and her daughter is the head of the New York City Chorale and through Lincoln Center. So this is a big passion of Linda and her daughter Amy's. So if you would look and see what wonder, I just can't get over the presentation. And in there is a list of all of the different nights that there's something going on in our schools regarding bands and concerts and everything else. So please take one and partake of those different nights if you have time. And again, the students were just fabulous. I can't say enough about them. And of course, Yale Schneider, I have to mention them. Yale Schneider, Lindsay Silva, and Josh Accampato.
Thank you. Ms. Ratner?
Yep, I want to wish everyone a happy upcoming holiday season. My kids are very excited that Hanukkah starts tomorrow. If you ever drive down Machapanak, see the big bear, that's us. I also meant to thank the people who had donated, which was listed under the Business Administrator's Report. So thank you to the Scheitzer Engineering Laboratories, as well as it's Township resident Ellen Segawa de Souza, sorry if I said the name wrong, for the donations. Anything we can, that can be given to help us further education is certainly appreciated. Definitely looking forward to our upcoming concert season. I end up being at a lot of these concerts, which is something I really appreciate. And I know we had discussed the concert schedule being publicized, and so I really appreciate that, seeing it come to fruition. And then I also just wanted to get clarification about one quick thing, because I know this came up several times, but it was actually, as a parent, it was sent to me that the middle school clubs had been changed so that from now on, students could only pick one 10-week club instead of 20 weeks, so they could only do winter or spring. And then also the buses were cut for any co-curricular activities that are service-oriented or competition-based, which I knew because my daughter happens to be in Builders Club, so she's unable to take the bus, so we have to pick her up. But I just didn't know if that's something that's being changed, that those cuts are not happening, or if there was something else going on. But I just wanted to get clarification on that.
So as far as the service and what was the other term you used?
Competition-based.
Competition. I cannot respond to that without speaking to Ms. Smith, who's currently the acting principal. I'll be happy to do that. I know many, many years ago, they didn't provide buses, and then when I became principal, we did provide buses, so I will look into that. As far as cutting, nothing has been cut. It has to be, we have so many more children participating. They don't have enough drivers in the afternoon to drive the buses to be able to bring all the children home. It's not a matter of financial, it's not a matter of cutting. As we continue to try and get more bus drivers and think out of the box like we did with the sports, paying for, in the sports, under the sports, we're paying for other buses to come that are outside vendors, for lack of a better term, outside bus companies. So what we had to do is, we have so many children involved. Instead of being 100 or 200, you have 600, 800 children. We don't have enough buses because we don't have enough bus drivers. Nothing was cut. There's no financial concerns. Anybody who knows a bus driver that wants to come and work here, please do so.
Okay, so it's the same amount of buses, it's just that because we have so many students participating,
Exactly.
not every student can get
Correct.
access
So we want to
a
make sure
bus.
every child has an opportunity. As far as what you said earlier, I will be happy to reach out to you as soon as I gather that information.
Okay, thank you, and happy holidays to everybody.
Does anybody have any other business? All right, seeing none.
I do.
Mrs. Skirby, could I say a few words, please?
Of course, Ms. Bora?
Yeah, yes, this is Ghazala. I just want to piggyback on what Mr. Payne shared and point out that this was definitely such a relief to see this happen again. We stopped just around COVID because of COVID. Going into our senior communities, and Rossmore has been a place that I personally, as a parent, have seen my child perform with percussion ensembles, and the love they get from the seniors there and the connection we make with the community through these programs is priceless. And so I'm really happy that we are able to restart this connection, and hopefully we will be able to go out to more communities and have them come see this. On this note, I also want to point out that I am no longer a choral parent. Like my son, who used to be part of the Monroe Township High School chorus program, has graduated and gone to college, but I was still aware of this happening through our Monroe Township School District Facebook page. And so I want to give a shout out to us, to spreading information through the district channel, and parents like me who don't have children in the program are finding out about it and feeling happy. So I think we are making progress about communicating, information about all kinds of student programs through our social media for people who don't have children in the program or children in the school district. So I wanted to appreciate that, and I also wanted to wish everybody a happy Hanukkah and a very happy holiday season coming up, since this is our last meeting before the Christmas holidays as well. So happy holidays to everybody, my fellow board members and the community members and the district staff. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Bora. All right.
I had something.
Yes, Ms. Alvarez?
I'm sorry, I'm going to make this quick. I know it's been a long day. I just wanted to give a quick summary. I attended the semi-annual delegate assembly because Mrs. Ratner was unable to attend. And there were 5 resolutions, 4 of them were approved, 1 did not pass. I really enjoyed the experience. It was really great to see how that's run, but I wanted to bring forth 2 that I thought were important maybe for us to learn more about. So one was called Pass the Trash. So apparently when someone is fired from a school district, they can apply for another job somewhere else. And oftentimes, if their prior employment closed or the records were deleted or what have you, sometimes they make a deal, don't say anything about what I did and I'll resign. So it's made it very difficult for districts to find out information. So the resolution was to support local school districts by assuming the responsibility of providing said districts with access to data resources that effectively and thoroughly chronicle situations regarding the physical or emotional abuse of children. So I thought that was a good one. And then the final one was one on book bans, because that's been in the media a lot, and a lot of librarians and school staff have been getting a lot of hate and vitriol at board meetings, on their personal Facebook pages and social media. So a resolution was passed, again reiterating that ultimately it falls on the board to decide what's appropriate or not appropriate for our libraries and librarians and to add to our curricular, but stressing that we need to protect our librarians and school staff from these outside negative comments. And that's all I wanted to bring up.
Thank you.
I just really quick wanted to thank Ms. Alvarez for attending the delegate assembly. It's something I enjoy doing. I had a family bat mitzvah and wasn't able to go. Also, I did forget that I do have a legislative committee meeting in December 16th, so I'll provide an update on that in January. But again, thank you, Ms. Alvarez, for attending that.
You're welcome.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is the public forum. Anybody wishing to address the public? Good evening, I'm sorry.
No problem. Hey, made it. Couple left. So, okay, so, board.
Name and
Moe
municipality.
Muqtadir from Monroe Township. Sorry for coming up earlier, but the issue stands that we've been talking to the Board of Transportation. We have an ongoing complaint. I feel like we need to file a grievance with the bus driver we have for a certain route, bus number 44 to be exact. Dr. Chanley, we need to have a meeting, you and I, because talking to Kathleen McDonald, it's like it's falling to deaf ears. It's not really getting through. And the problem is, it's all about the action, right? Your presentation is all about actions. I love how you came to us and you spoke to us. That just showed me some type of closeness, right? So here I am talking about some action. It seems like the Board of Transportation is not here represented as well, but every time we reached out to her, she's too busy to talk to us. And I have upset kids. They're at the correct bus stop. Both the principal at both elementary, by the way, they're little kids. Elementary, Barkley Brook and Brookside. I'm sorry? Okay. Oh yeah, Barkley Brook and Brookside. Both principals are aware of it. Actually, I just was talking to Brookside's principal today. We had an event there. And the long short of it is that they were not only messing up the fact that he was at the right bus stop, but the bus driver for bus number 44 is continuously picking on my children. Other children have noticed as well. I have a whole phone load of unhappy parents. Everybody's miserable with this bus driver. It's a new bus driver. Last year's bus driver retired. His name was Jim, great guy. Unfortunately, this year we're having difficulties, and I need to have this confirmed because today my daughter came in, just today, right before our board meeting, came today upset. She pulled over at the bus stop, right? She pulled over at a bus stop on the way home from school to go up to my daughter. And she, by the way, she has a clean record, has great grades and everything else, to ask her name. But what is she being written up for? We don't know. So we called up Kathleen McDonald. She said she's gonna, watch the video footage. No problem. We would all like to watch it, but the problem is this has to stop now. She's coming home upset. It's all about safety at this point. And between elementary kids, they shouldn't be talked to in this fashion. It's a simple responsibility of just bringing them to and from the school safely. I'm not asking for anything else. It's not getting through to Kathleen McDonald, who's the director of the Board of Transportation. And sadly, they're not even here. And I've been here to basically talk to everybody else. So it needs to resolve now. Ms. Mahoney, great principal as well. I talked to her on site. I've talked to Mr. Taylor, the security guard. Everybody is aware of the situation. I have, again, parents on my side, at least I would say 8 parents, and not only on my bus stop or community, but on the same route, who are not happy with what's happening. We have to have transparency. I don't see, again, any type of vision or action being done on behalf of scrutinizing this Board of Transportation. I understand there's a shortage of bus drivers, and the union rules prevent them from, doing subs. I'm part of a union as well, from New York City, nonetheless. But the problem is, I like to file a formal grievance, because that's how we do it where I come from as well, because I'm very unhappy. I'm not gonna have my kids come home upset, especially when I live at the corner of the bus stop, okay? And this bus driver who's come into it as a brand-new bus driver needs to get checked ASAP, because Kathy McDonald is doing a horrible job. I do need your help, Dr. Shanley. So hopefully you and I can talk, and we need to resolve this ASAP. Either she not speak to them and make other people unhappy, but tomorrow, Mr. Sidler, the principal at Brookside, will be getting, because her friends were stepped off on side and said, you did nothing wrong, we're gonna talk to the principal on your behalf. And these are little kids. Little kids. There's no reason for any kid to be upset on a bus. I understand if they're being, bad on the bus, being written up, but there's no reason, no excuse, no given reason. So we need to handle this now. Thank you.
So I appreciate you, first of all, waiting all this time. And rather than make you spell your name, I'll go ahead and reach out to Mr. Sidler and Ms. Mahoney and get the specifics. And this way we can have the communication that you need. And I do agree, when it comes to children, safety's first, and then we have to make sure that children feel happy. We want them to get on the bus, happy, enjoying themselves. There should be no stress.
And hopefully you and I can maybe have a meeting if you have some time. I know you're a very busy person.
No, you're important.
Because it's not getting anywhere. I've tried all.
And if you're a New York City bus driver, God bless you.
Well, I'm an electrician, but by the local 3, but that's another story. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for waiting patiently.
Happy holidays.
Good evening.
Good evening, Pradeep Melam, Monroe Township. First question, we have only finance committee meeting this month, and that is also not posted on the Monroe PEG website yet. So I request you to take a look.
The finance committee meeting is not posted on the website?
Next month?
No, the recording.
Whatever happened last week.
It should be posted to the website.
It's not there.
We'll have to.
I checked it today morning as well, so.
Okay, we'll double check that with Mr. Feldman.
So on the same lines, like, when is the budget philosophy meeting that is scheduled for, because our budget is like, usually it comes in like October, but because we moved it to budget philosophy meeting?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we do have
it scheduled.
We have it scheduled. Oh, it is up to finance? Oh, thank you. They just checked and the finance is up.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, but probably from outside, it might not be visible.
I'm not logged in.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
The budget meeting dates?
The hearing date or the budget hearing date?
No, the budget, we will start with the budget philosophy meeting, right?
Right.
Usually. And you take public input on the budget philosophy.
Oh, the philosophy. So we will have the preliminary budget hearing on February 21st.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks. And there was, in the superintendent report, personal 10-member vote, in item B and C, there was 2 positions eliminated or removed or resigned for Monroe Township South Asian Association Club. What happened with that club and why we resigned 2 positions there?
The South Asian.
In D, item B and C.
Under 10 member, correct?
Under 10-member vote.
If I may point out, they were rescinded as a paid position and they appear as volunteers in the next section.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the way the clubs work is that the first year that they do it, it's voluntary, then the next year they get paid. So it was an error and then it was rescinded.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Ms.
Bora.
Of course.
Pete Pirro, Monroe Township. I have a question. According to School Boards Association, all board members should have governance 3 and 4, is that correct?
Yes.
If the person or board member doesn't complete them courses, is there anything that happens to them?
I'm not sure, but I could assure you that our board is in accordance with all trainings up to
So-
date. Correct, Ms.
As far as I
Allen?
know, yes.
So every board member has governance 3 or 4? Because I was told different by School Boards Association, but I will
If
over
they
that.
are required to have governance 3 on our board currently, then yes, they have completed that.
And then I have another issue. So a board member, Mr. Tefano, makes numerous posts on Facebook, many about myself and my family. on a page, The Voice, and then he kicks me off it since he is the new sheriff there. But I find it very inappropriate for a board member to post on Facebook that he represents kids whose parents are piles of shit, who are trash, and all this other stuff. And it's out there. It is on Facebook. It's on your Watchdog page. It's on The Voice. So, I mean, I find this very inappropriate, and I'd like the board's opinion on this. Yes, just keep smiling.
Would you like my opinion?
No, Mr. Tefano.
Sure I would.
Would you like my
Mr.
opinion?
Tefano. Mr.
You don't want
Tefano.
me to
Mr.
pull a pile of shit?
Tefano.
I look like one.
Mr. Tefano.
Did he just say I look like a pile of shit?
No, I said
Mr.
if you don't want me to
Tefano.
pull,
Mr.
don't act
Tefano.
like one.
Mr. Tefano, please.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I find that very inappropriate.
Yeah.
Thank you for your comments. There's a lot of inappropriate things that go on Facebook, and
Well, board members shouldn't be doing them. They shouldn't be making pictures of the mayor as a clown and all these other things, and posting them on all different pages. I find that very inappropriate, and I think if you're here representing children and the community, I would hope that every board member represents the community, whether you like the person or not. You know, on his hot mic 2 meetings ago when I was here, he told me to go to Jamesburg and watch some more cars. I got it, it's right on video.
Yeah.
Because he's a wise guy,
Yeah,
and you allow
should-
that.
You should do that. You worry
Mr.
about saving
Tefano.
taxpayers' money.
Mr. Tefano.
Right? So this is what we get for this, right, Mr. Gagliardi? That's appropriate behavior from a board member.
I'm not here to referee appropriate behavior. I'd be talking a lot more at these meetings if I was.
Well, I would hope this board would do something. but I guess it's tried that already.
Doug Poy, Monroe Township. These are sort of housekeeping items. The user-friendly budget is on the website for 22-23. But and it was posted back in April of 2022. But there has been no user-friendly budget for the current school year posted yet. I'm sure there must be a reason for that, and I'm interested in what that is. The other housekeeping item is I noticed that there's no Board of Education agendas available on the website for the period of July 2021 through June 2022. That's a complete year. There are committee agendas available during that period of time, but for some reason, there are no board meeting agendas. And once again, I'd like for someone to look at that and see why not. You know, the public sometimes likes to look at past agendas, and they're just not available. Excuse me. And then my last item, last month at your board meeting, I inquired about the cost of replacing the roofs, the 1936-1960 roofs at the Applegarth School. There was quite a bit of a discrepancy between what I've heard at various meetings and what I've seen listed in some of the agendas. And at that time, no one at the meeting could clarify the matter. And I was told that you would contact Mr. Tague and someone would get back to me. Well, it's a month later, and I haven't heard from anyone. So when you say someone will get back to a member of the public, someone should get back to a member of the public. So I'd appreciate if you could explain about the user-friendly budget and take care of seeing that the other agendas are restored, and also having Mr. Tague or someone explain to me what the actual cost of replacing those roofs will be. Thank you.
Ms. Allen?
Yes, so it is on the website under budget information. It has all the 23-24 budget information, including the user-friendly budget.
And it's the user-friendly budget for 23-24?
That's correct.
Yes.
Because the last time I looked, it was not there, but I'll check it again
Yeah.
when I get home.
can show you if you want, after the meeting.
When was it posted?
I don't know when it was posted, but it's here. I can show you.
Okay, because
It was posted,
the
I'm
prior
assuming, when it was
user-friendly
made
budget,
available to the
it is
public.
dated when it was posted. That's the reason I thought it would show.
I don't know, I don't know when it was posted. It was generated April 25th of '23. I don't know when it was actually posted to the website. But I'm sure it was right about that date.
And you said January 2023? Almost a year ago.
No, April 25th
April
of '23 was generated, the budget.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So if I should get home and I can't locate it, can I contact you, Mrs. Allen?
Yeah,
Or,
yes, you may, you can email me, yes. But if you
Okay.
just go onto the website, all the way on the left, like all the way down to the bottom, I think right where you were under user-friendly budget 22-23, right above that, it says budget information, and you click on that, and it will bring you to the user-friendly budget as well as some other documents.
oh, so it's not
So
listed
it's
separately?
right above the user-friendly budget 22-23.
But it's listed as budget information?
Correct.
All right.
Yep.
Okay, I'll take another look.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let me know if you have any trouble
Okay.
finding it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Brian Fabiano, Monroe. Mrs. Skirby, when you ran for the board 2 years ago, or I guess whenever the 2 years, yeah, this will be your third year, you campaigned on rooting out unethical behaviors and holding people accountable for not following the law, particularly ethics, the ethics laws. Since you've been a board member, the State Ethics Commission has found on 3 separate cases that there is probable cause to substantiate that you violated multiple ethics statutes. I believe 2 of those cases are going forward to the court, one in January, one in February, where a state assistant attorney general has been assigned to prosecute you. And one decision came back in the last 2 weeks to make it your third case that will go forward. I'm wondering if your opinion on ethics in schools still stands, or because you have finally got on the board, maybe this will be your first and last term because you don't hold your word, does ethics not matter to you? Furthermore, last week, and posted on Facebook, I found this decision where now the Ethics Commission has come back and found probable cause on 2 violations by our superintendent. In fact, in the opinion that was issued by the state, the Ethics Commission, in so many words, say that these are even admitted violations, giving Mrs. Chanley, Dr. Chanley, one more 20-day ability to say why they shouldn't hold her in violation of the act, like you. I'll read, because I'm not sure if you've even informed the board of this, but at this is the opinion coming from the decision C-1223, whereas at the meeting on October 17, 2023, the School Ethics Commission considered the complaint and answer to the complaint and answer submitted by the parties in connection with the matter. And whereas at the October 17, 2023 meeting, the commission finds probable cause to substantiate a violation of NJSA 18A 12-24B and also NJSA 18A-1224C. This would make the first superintendent in Monroe's history who's had an ethics violation against them and the state finding probable cause. Things happen, and it looks like in this case, perhaps Dr. Chanley admits that she violated the Ethics Act. So my question to you is, what is your plan? And given that you ran on a slate to get on this board to hold members of the school district accountable, namely, you were very vocal about our last BA who was an administrator in the district who violated the Ethics Act, and you believe that he should have been fired for doing so. Do you plan to hold Dr. Chanley in the same regard? Or because you're friends, will you give her a pass?
Thank you for your comments.
Great, so no answer to that. Where the state finds 2 violations of probable cause against the respondent. but you won't answer that. So when you ran the last time for the board and you preached ethics, you were a liar. That's all you are. You violated it 3 times. Your pal violated it just now. And you have no intention to even uphold your ethics promises. Thank you.
Just so the public is aware, when an ethics complaint is filed, there are things put in there that are not true, they're not corroborated, there's no evidence for them. What the Ethics Commission does is look at what is written, and they say, if everything that has been presented is true, would it be a violation? If the answer is yes, they find probable cause, and then it goes to an administrative law judge who then has discovery imposed. The lawyers have to present their information, and there needs to be evidence at that point to corroborate the claim. So unfortunately, we have multiple members of the community, including Mr. Fabiano, who has filed multiple ethics complaints that do not have evidence that I feel support any violation of mine ethically. I did take an oath to uphold the ethics laws and to do right by this community, and I have. The only thing that I am guilty of is being an extremely good advocate for our community and for our students. I take what I do very seriously here, and it's completely unfortunate, the abuse that Dr. Chanley has taken and the false allegations that continue to be said by certain members of the public. That's all I have to say. Seeing nobody else for public forum, we will close the public forum. We have no other agenda items to discuss in the closed session. So our next scheduled Board of Education meeting is January 17th, 2024. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Thank you.